curate the music. I'm going to come up with a movement theme. And now I'm going to choose the environments. I've already gone this far. Let me make the environments. And then let's get Duana in on this. If we have to clip that, we can clip it. But the joy balls. So instead of just like using it as like a boom, all right, take a quick breather. No, it's like a boom. This is surrounding you as you're continuing to dance. Sassy a little bit, and you're tracing tails, but they're like arm gestures to show that you're having a conversation with someone. Asia and Marla Part 2. Ba-da-ah, ba-da-ah, ba-da-bam-ba-bam-bow. I'm making sure on the ba-da-ah, when she's like sustaining the vocal, you're hitting some kind of like tail or a swing. You've got this cybernetic arm, right? And like you're charging that punch up, and it's such a hard punch that it guides you over a couple of lanes. Like I was like thinking of things in like a sci-fi way. I
accidentally made this fun.
I accidentally made this high map, a pros level map, trying to inject as much joy as I could in that particular map.
Everyone go play this workout and rate it right now. Make sure we get another one next year, please. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of For the Love of the Map, where we talk all things supernatural, choreography, and the joy in movement. I'm your host, MJ, and I'm super excited for today's guest. I feel like the world is going to be like, yes, finally. Asia McNair, you guys, supernatural choreographer, among many other things, but we'll get into that today. Welcome to the show, dude.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. This is an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this like all week.
Yay! That makes all of us happy. Oh man. You are the one of the magical unicorns in supernatural choreography team that creates all the fun things for us. But you're also so much more than that. So I'm going to start with this like little quick fire questions. You just answer the first thing that comes to mind so we can get to know you a little bit.
Cool. Okay.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Sweet. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea. Yes.
Tea times 2.
She's got 2. Awesome. Flow or boxing?
Flow.
Ooh, I was not anticipating that. I like that. Sweet. What about rap or country?
Oh man. Rap.
All right. But the fact that that took you a minute, I'm interested to hear more about your thoughts on country music now. Like, we got to get into this. I had no idea.
Being forced to
having to map. Yeah.
Having to map country has given me slightly more of an appreciation for the genre. I mapped a hoedown throwdown once that I was like, oh man, this is not going to be fun. Got in, and the music was just so like, okay. Like I had fun. I was like, all right, we're going to get these guys stomping. We're going to do some heel digs. We're going to, have them shuffle. And it was a blast. Wow. It was a blast. So I had like a slightly deeper appreciation for the genre as a whole. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, you guys probably get exposed to so much music all day, every day that you wouldn't necessarily choose to listen to on your own, but you appreciate it because you're mapping to it. So you have to find something you like. Yeah. Or, I mean, I couldn't imagine what a map would look like if you actually hated it. The music you were mapping to, I'm sure. Oh man. So how long have you worked for Supernatural? You were one of the first.
I was. I trained under Benny and Ethan. I always say 2020, just to round it out, but I got my letter, which is still up on my bulletin board in the back.
That's awesome.
In December of 19. I started out as a contractor first.
Okay.
I don't know if you want like a full story.
Yeah, give it to us. We want the origin story. Come on.
All right, lore. Asian lore.
Yes.
So I moved out to Los Angeles from Oklahoma in 2018.
All right.
And when I moved out here, I was basically working for the family business. My parents own a cue case making company, so
Oh,
billiards, pool cues. They
yeah.
break down in half, of course, like this, and then
Yes.
we make cases for them. So
Okay.
moved out here, and that's how I was staying alive, afloat. And while I was doing that, I was um, recording music videos, like or background dancing in music videos, and doing a lot of like independent work. And I was doing all that so I could make a demo reel.
Mm,
Made a demo reel and I uploaded it to this website called Backstage, where a lot of like performers, casting directors, and everything, go to scout for talent. We look for work, that whole thing.
got it.
And one day, Jess, I'm not sure if you've met Jess Zobler,
Yes.
but she reached out and was like, "Hey, we see you have these talents. Would you come try out our app?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. This is a dream job for me." Go out there and immediately fell in love. Uh, it was funny because Jess and Benny were there, and they were ready to present, and it was me and a couple of other people, and I didn't have a full understanding of what the app was just yet. So I was in there full like dancer gear, t-shirt, sweatpants, and I was just full split. I was like in the lobby, just like stretching, and I was in a full split, and they walk out and they're like, "You don't have to do that." I was like, "I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Like, what do you need me for?" Like, and so
You thought it was
um,
like an audition, like you were coming to
yeah,
dance. You were
yes.
ready.
I rolled up in there with my dance bag, my big
Oh,
bottle of water, legs in the sky, just sky high. Um, but yeah, so after oh, go
had
ahead, go
you
ahead.
ever been in a VR headset at that point?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I had
Got it.
I had played, of course, Beat Saber and a couple of other games, and I had always been enamored with it. Like I would love going to like the VR arcades to play, and I'd have so much fun. So that was like I was super excited at that aspect of it, but I had no idea, like what else would go into it. So I was just ready to go. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
was just I was like, whatever you need me for, like let's go. So um, they give us our trainings and everything, and I fell in love with it. They brought me on. I was a contractor, moved from being a contractor to hourly, and then hourly to here.
Right.
So it was just like a progression that I look back and I just had this deep sense of appreciation, like from where I came from, because like it was like I was helping them build this thing from the ground up. And yeah, so to this day I still have my letter.
I love that. I absolutely love that you have that on your bulletin board like that. Um,
Mhm.
you mentioned dancing, and
Mhm.
JR has come on here before, and he
Uh,
told us that you came and auditioned for his dance crew, Magic
mhm.
Makers, correct? I'm like trying to remember.
Rug
It's
makers.
Rug Makers, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that you are dance with him. And you also said, you came to your interview ready to dance. So have you been dancing your whole life? Are you just like the dancer in the family?
Yes, that is me.
Okay.
That is me. I've been dancing since I had to 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at one point it felt like that's all I knew.
Mm,
My dad put me in a performing arts middle school and high school, and so that's all I was doing up until well, even now. So performing arts middle school, high school, and then I went to college for dance,
hmm
and I specialized in tap, musical theater, ballet, contemporary, um, and then after college, came out here.
Came out here.
Hmm.
Started looking for dancing jobs, and then Supernatural scooped you up.
Yeah, and it's such a wild like series of events, because like my two passions are video games and dance. And so granted, Supernatural's technically not a game, but we're still like adjacent,
Yes.
and it's a fusion of the two things that I love most. And so
It's like
yeah.
totally your dream job.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You are also a huge content creator. You create all sorts of stuff, which sort of ties in, it seems like, into your hobbies. video
Yes.
games,
Anime,
anime. Yeah.
everything. Yep. Pop
Dude,
culture.
yes, pop culture, all the things. And you make this one series that makes me and my friend Julia laugh so hard. It's the one where it's like if you were a mom watching your kid play video games and you're sitting on the couch and you're in your robe and sometimes you have curlers in your hair. And as a mom, it makes me laugh so hard because some of the things you say, I could imagine if I was into that game, I would say it to my kid, you know? Um, anyway, it's hilarious.
That series actually that's based off of real life events.
Is it of your mom?
Yes. So yes.
Oh, wow.
So I, so when I had to have been like 11 or 12, and I remember my very first like role playing like dungeon crawler was a game called Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
Mm,
And it was you could obviously play one player, but me and my cousins would get together and we'd play the like local co-op.
mm.
And so we'd be in there playing and we'd be like running these dungeons. And my mom out of nowhere would like she'd come in the living room and then she'd disappear. And then she'd come back and she's got like snacks and she'd sit down. And I remember we were fighting this like elven boss, and she has this like, she was a mage, she had a staff, but she was like sensual and she was like, you guys won't win. And my mom's like, now why is she dancing on that pole like that? What are y'all fighting? What is going on here? And I was like, Mom, please, can we focus? Please let us focus. Like, we're dying out here. Like, come on. And she would always do that. She'd be like, I'd like go to a door and it'd be locked, and my character would be like, oh, I can't go that way. This door's locked. I can't go. Nope, can't go that way. My mom's in the back like, didn't you just hear her say we can't go this direction? Go somewhere else now. Like, my mom's getting impatient.
Yeah. She's like done with you. She's like, come on, let me play this
Yeah.
game. Let me tell you how to play this
Right.
game.
I'm like, do you want the controller? So yeah, and so after a while, like I think I was just reminiscing on that one day, and I was like, this would be a good series.
Hmm.
And so I went to the closet, got my robe, grabbed a bonnet, put some curlers in, and was like, all right, and action. And now I do that series whenever like a new game comes out, or like if there's a game that I'm, just delving into, I'll break out the robe and I'll start doing content covering that. So,
Has your mom seen these videos?
oh man.
What does she think? How was her reaction?
So she's also a class clown.
Okay, all
So
right.
she'll message me and be like, "Huh, I wonder who this is. Where'd you get that?" And I was like, "I don't know. It just popped up in my head out of nowhere." And she'll have like witty remarks like, "Well, whoever you're or imitating is, she's got to be grand, or
Yes.
something like that."
Fantastic.
Yes,
Fabulous. I love
yes,
this one.
I love this character. She's saying all the things that I would say. That she's also a class clown, so our text message threads are just just two jesters going
Not
back and forth.
safe. Not safe for all of us.
Not safe at all.
That's funny. Oh man. So you've mentioned already gaming and
uh,
anime. Is it
mhm.
safe to assume that those are two things that you geek out, geek out about?
Oh,
Like
a
how
thousand
I geek
percent.
out about Supernatural. You're over there geeking out about all. Yeah, I see. I see. Those are rad though. Those are really
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you. Yeah, anime and video games are like life for me. Like if you could see like my entire studio apartment, there's just nothing but like comic book references and pieces, and like I've got like Sailor Moon figurines over there and all kinds of stuff. Like that was like my source of joy growing up. Like when I wasn't oh, excuse me. Um when I wasn't dancing or, doing all the other things, it was drawing, anime, video games, and that's what like really like helped shape who I am as a person. Um, yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
that's really, and I never wanted to be the person that grew up
Mm,
and had to like let that go.
yeah,
I've always felt like as long as you nourish your inner child and you continue to indulge, in the things that you love, you why not still keep that aspect of yourself while you grow, So
for sure.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. My daughter, she's about to turn 13 and she's super big into cosplaying and always
Mhm.
coming to figure out how she can order a new wig, like get me to order her new wigs or new cosplays. And I
Mhm.
showed her a couple of your videos the other day and she's like, does she know about me? I'm like, no, she doesn't know. I haven't mentioned, is that what I'm supposed to talk about on the podcast? But she was like, oh, wow, she is amazing. And
No.
she wanted me to ask you
Mhm.
what your favorite anime was.
Man, okay.
And I
What
told her this
year?
might be an impossible, you might be asking this poor woman an impossible question. If she's anything like you, child, she's going to have a lot, okay?
There are a lot. First, what's your daughter's name?
Her name is Avery.
Hi, Avery. Hello. All right. So, this is tough. So, if I had to choose my favorite based off of like sentimental reasons,
Yeah.
um, I would say I'd have to say Sailor Moon, just because that was the first, and that was like my gateway anime.
Yeah.
I remember being I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and my dad took me to Blockbuster. I'm aging myself here. Um, my dad was like, "Come on, we're going to Blockbuster." I'm like, "What is that?" So we go, and there are all these like VHS tapes in there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm looking around, and he's like, "Go pick out whatever you like." And I'm like, "I don't know what any of this is." So I'm walking around, and it was almost like one of those cartoon moments where like there's like this singular item, and there's like the pool of light that comes down.
Yeah.
So I'm walking through like the little aisles, and I see, Sailor Moon on this like VHS in like pink, and I was like, "What is that? I want this." So I grabbed this pink VHS tape. I'm like, "Dad, I want this." And he looks and he's like, "Okay." So we get that, and I'm watching it at home, and it gets to the part where she transforms for the first time. Luna, her pet cat, is like, "You must yell, Moon Prism Power!" And she was like, "Okay." Throws her hand up, she transforms, and at that moment, I was like, and I was like, "Dad!" Dad comes in the room. I rewind it. I'm like, "You have to see this." I press play and I rewatched the transformation sequence, and my dad's just like, "Cool," and walks out. And I was like, "You're uncultured.
You don't get it, okay?
You
You
don't
just don't get it.
understand." And
Mm-mm.
right. And then from there, from Sailor Moon, it was Cardcaptor Sakura. And then from there, it was a Studio Ghibli film. It was Kiki's Delivery Service.
Mm.
Fell in love with that, and then it was just a snowball effect after that.
Oh,
So I
wow.
always have to credit Sailor Moon for getting me into the genre or into the
It
anime
was the
space.
gateway
It was.
in
It was.
Blockbuster. You were called to it
Blockbuster.
on the shelf on
Just
Blockbuster.
Asia, come
Yeah.
this way. Asia over here. I was like, "Hello, me? Is it me you're looking for?"
Oh man. It's fu- you there are a couple of Studio Ghibli influenced workouts. Well, I know of one for a fact. And I know that you had a hand in mapping this particular workout. I want to know behind the scenes when you saw that pop up on the board, however you guys pick, get assigned your maps. When you saw that pop up, where you're like, I'm fighting all of you. Let's go. Getting your sword out from behind your chair. You're like, this is mine.
So I kind of lucked out actually. So it's widely known that I am the one who I don't usually choose my songs. I let all the other choreographers go through the pick list. They'll choose everything, and I'm like, "All right, whatever is left, I'll just take it." That's just how
Oh,
I've always been. You know, I should
team
start, fighting
player.
for,
You
you
should.
know, I should, but
Should.
I'm just like, do your thing, and I'll take whatever's left. But I saw that come through, and I think it got auto assigned to Ethan at the time, and I was like, "Hey, bestie," and he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So you got a Porco Rosso song there that I would like to map?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay, you can have it." It was that easy.
Oh, it was
It was
that
that
easy.
easy.
You were getting
Love
ready
him
for the
bunches.
bribe.
I was
Let me
ready.
Venmo you. Let's go to lunch. Like you
I
were
was like,
ready.
tea, anything, anything. And he was like, "Yeah, you can have it." And I was like, "Oh, bless you, bless you." And yeah, and I think I had just watched that movie maybe a couple months prior,
Mm,
so it was still fresh in my mind. I was so excited to map that, and so I went back and took a peek at it. A while ago. And the mapping, is it's a medium intensity map and it's a little on like the simpler side, but
yeah,
for some reason I still got chills when I played it through.
same.
And I was like, why? I was like, why? And you can just when you know the context of the film and how during that or when the music kicks in during that scene, it's like an air battle.
Mm.
Um so with that context, okay, whenever my arms are spread in such a way and I'm being guided through these triangle tunnels, you know that that's you in a plane trying to either like dodge some like fire or, whatever the case may be. And it just sent chills.
Oh man, and that's one of my when you guys add legit Easter eggs into your mapping, like you just explained, you're flying in the plane and how that translates in Supernatural. I absolutely love when you guys do that. And oh man, when I'm gonna have to tell people to go watch the movie and then play this
Hmm.
workout so that
Hmm.
they can put the two together. That's
Yep.
Sweat Symphony movement masterpiece, medium flow.
Yep.
Such a great workout from start to finish.
Hmm.
Start to finish. Mm,
Yep.
such a good one, man. Mm.
One of my personal favorites.
Oh.
One of my personal favorites. And another little tidbit about that was when I mapped it, I used to map on the moon all the time. Like that
Mm.
was my favorite background to use. I distinctly remember being like, nah, I gotta go somewhere where I'm like in the air. And I always forget the name of the environment in the editor, but it's your Crater Lake, I think.
I think
It's
might be
you're
over the big.
hovering over this giant blue lake.
Yes.
And I switched my environment to that while I choreographed to just get a better sense of like being in the air. Like how would I look going this way? I just wanted an added layer of immersion while I mapped that part or mapped that
Yeah.
piece. So
That's a
yeah,
great tidbit.
I,
Wow.
I might see if we can plug that into another workout eventually. I'd love to do like a high version of that.
I would love to see a high version of that.
I'd love to do a high version of that map.
That would be awesome. And I
Mm,
don't, you mentioned that when you map in the editor, you map on the moon. I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but you guys can pick the environments that you map in.
mhm.
I love that you map in the moon. That makes my sci-fi loving heart so happy.
Another reference to Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
Like
yep,
I
I get
am
it.
the self-proclaimed moon princess.
I
So
love that.
yeah, I've been fighting for us to get access to more of the environments because we don't have access to all of them. But
Oh,
we have a decent chunk, but it would be helpful to get access to all of them so that we know, hey, like maybe white targets don't match against this background,
mm,
so that we'd be able to like call things out. Like, hey,
yeah.
just a heads up, like whenever I turn this way, these targets are a little bit harder to see. So maybe we swap this out for a different environment. So
Oh, that makes
that's
sense. I
yeah.
think a lot of people assume you guys map in the exact locations that appear in the final workout, and that's definitely not the way. It surprises me to hear that you don't have access to all of them. It's like
Mhm.
one thing we have more of than you do. Oh, sorry. Had to
No,
call that out.
no, it's a-okay. Hopefully, this is what we need to get that push.
That would
Um,
be amazing.
yeah, it's just the way the production pipeline is right now. We don't even know what the environments are until after we've already mapped.
Ah,
So whenever something
interesting.
gets, kicked back and like, hey, by the way, these targets, we can't see them here. Like, okay, I'll hop in and make the changes, but just remember, I don't have access to this environment. So when I do make the change, I'm not even sure if it's fixed. So
Right. Let me know.
just let me know.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This, I want to talk about, listen. I want
Uh-huh.
to talk about a brand new workout that just
Uh-huh.
dropped this week that I know you created. You were speaking about environments and
Mhm.
my brain just went straight to this workout. Okay. It
Uh-huh.
is a boxing high. It is called CyberPunch 2025.
My baby.
It is your baby. You
That is.
the whole
Mhm.
thing from environments.
Yep.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk
All
about it.
right.
What
Well,
inspired you?
so where do I start? There were a lot of different factors that pushed me to do this.
Hmm.
I think the first thing was music selection. I wanted to create something utilizing music that I loved.
Hmm.
And because I like a lot of like underground or like indie type music, it rarely comes through the pipeline for us to choose. And so I was like, maybe if I create my own workout, I'll be able to do this. And so that was the way it started. And then from there, I was like, the music kind of tells a story. The story is something, the music tells a story, and I want to create movement that like matches that.
Hmm.
And it went from there to being like, all right, let me just go all in. All right, I'm going to curate the music. I'm going to come up with a movement theme. And now I'm going to choose the environments. I've already gone this far. Let me make the environments. And then let's get Duana in on this. So like I roped everybody in together, and then Dennis, championed for me to get all of the like the CGI environments.
Hmm.
Because, he was like, normally we don't do this. And I was like,
You're the
please.
first. It's the
I am.
first workout. It is the
I am.
first workout. And I'm all about being first at things. So
Yes.
high five. That was
Yes.
amazing. Amazing, dude. I was blown away. I've been
Thank you.
begging for all the CG environments in a single workout for
Thank you.
forever. So I noticed that theme. And there were all the beautiful purple ones and
Yep.
mhm.
And I chose those environments to match the song choices. Obviously, but I it took me a minute. I was like, okay, how does this one sound? All right, does this match this background? I probably swapped them all like 3 or 4 times before I got to the final decision. Um, yeah, it was a blast to map, and I wanted to incorporate movements that I could like. How do I explain it? I wanted movements in there that were tied to the theme. So like when you do the hook turn, I told Dwana to think of that as like, all right, you've got this cybernetic arm, right? And like you're charging that punch up, and it's such a hard punch that it guides you over a couple of lanes. Like I was like thinking of things in like a sci-fi way.
Yeah.
And she was all on board. She ate it up. Like she was like, yes, I'm on board for this. The only thing that I would change is the skaters. You're supposed to be gliding from side to side, and I think some
Hmm.
people are just kind of like twisting. So it's
Mm.
almost like a like you're sliding from side to side.
Okay.
Um, and so you'll probably notice it in the playthrough video, but that was one thing that got missed. But aside from that, it was perfect.
Okay, so now when I go replay this, I will skate versus. Okay,
Yes,
I got
yes.
this. I got this. So, how did you create the name? Like, was the name for the
Mm.
workout one of like the first things you decided, or how did that work out?
The name came about midway through the process.
Okay.
But it was so my favorite band is they're called The Midnight. They are this like synth wave, like synth pop um band. The first track was
The
called
first track,
the
dude.
first track, Sunset.
I'm
And
obsessed. I'm
it's
obsessed. I have been listening to it nonstop. My partner Chris, he's like, "Why are we listening to this song again?" I get on these kicks where I just listen to the same song over. He's used to it by now, but he's like, "What is this song and where is it from and what is happening?" I'm into it.
thank you. Listen, they are a magnificent band, and I wish I had access to more of their music. A lot of the songs that we have rights to are like remixes,
Mm,
and so Sunset was like one of the ones that I had access to that was like just the midnight. And so I'm like,
mm.
okay, it's a little bit on the lower like end of like of the BP like of BPM.
Yeah,
But I made it work. I was like, we're
you
gonna make this
did.
work. We gotta get this in there.
First song.
Um,
It was
yep.
perfect. Hmm.
So I knew I wanted a title that matched the theme of like um like like synthwave or like night drive, like that kind of thing. And I was thinking about it. I was like, there's a game called Cyberpunk 2077 that I loved when it came out. Full of bugs when it first came out, full of bugs, but it was such a good game, and the overall like aesthetic
Hmm.
was in line with my favorite band's aesthetic, and I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and so I changed the name to initially it was CyberPunch 2024 because I thought about this last year. Um, Changed it to 2025, and the idea was if it did well enough that I would do one of these every year. And so,
Oh,
yeah,
so your first series.
yeah,
Everyone go play this workout and rate it right now. Make sure we get another one next year, please.
ASAP.
Thanks for tuning in.
It,
No.
right, right. But yeah, like the midnight is they've gotten me through like many a time,
Yeah.
many a time, and I've seen them probably 7 or 8 times now, and I only discovered them in like 2019.
Hmm.
I go all up and down California. They perform in California maybe 3 times a year. Every time I go all up and down the state to see them. I actually met them at my tea shop. They were in my at random. They were in my tea shop,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, no way. So I had them sign my hat. Oh, it's on my teddy bear, this little visor.
Awesome.
Those are their signatures, and then I got a picture framed that's over that way. But yeah, they were also like a small factor that played into this workout. Like this workout means so much to me. So
Oh, I love that. I love that you were able to use a band that you absolutely love. Like you guys had a
mhm.
song from them that you could use in the workout.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So I assume your idea initially was I want to create my own baby, my own
hmm
workout. And
hmm
I know we talk on this show a lot about the whole creation process. There's a curation team who picks out the music, who puts the theme together of the workout, and then it goes down the pipeline. But
Uh-huh.
this is all yours. You
Yes.
curated this from start to finish.
hmm
I think that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Thank you, thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I want to do more
Yeah.
of those. I want to make more workouts that are mine from start to finish. I was very nervous about it, obviously, because if it doesn't do too well, you're like, well, you tend to take it personally, right?
Yes.
Because in at every stopping point, essentially, it's all you.
Hmm.
The music was your choice, the environment selection was your choice, the choreography was your choice, the even the coaching direction.
Right.
I told Dwana, hey, think about it this way, make some gaming references if you can. So like the coaching direction is also your choice. So like if it doesn't do too well, you tend to be like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do it again. But I've
Yeah.
seen some love. I've seen some love, in the Facebook community, and it was enough for me to be like, I'm doing the right thing.
Yes.
I have the capacity and the ability to do this, and that someone out there will enjoy it. So I definitely want to do it more often.
I really want to see more of these choreographer inspired
Hmm
workouts where you guys get to pick and curate the whole thing and create it. I'm not trying to take the jobs away from other people in
Right,
the
right.
company, but I think it's really cool that every once in a while you guys get to create your own little creative
Mm.
workout babies.
Yeah, yeah,
We
it's fun
really
for
get
us.
the feel of your creativity when you do
Hmm
that.
Yeah, I think you also get an insight as to like the music that we really enjoy. Um, and I feel like our styles really shine, just because we get to map to the music that
Mhm.
we like. Um, so yeah, like if we could all do that more often, I feel like the user base would also be able to get a deeper glimpse into each choreographer and get to know them a little better just by playing those maps.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
Uh, what I found so interesting, you are fantastic, not
Mhm.
just in boxing, but especially in flow with encouraging movement, big movement. So
Mhm.
in Cyberpunch, you have a lot of moving from one lane to the next, one lane to the
Mhm.
next with
Mhm.
the targets, but also like the step hooks. Is that what they're called? Correct me if I'm wrong. Where they encourage you to move and you're hooking at the same time, you're like jumping lanes.
Oh yeah.
I love those. I love
Thank you.
those.
Thank you.
Those are so cool. Absolutely. Visually and physically to do them. It's
Mhm.
just, oh, it's so satisfying because you get to work on, the turning motions.
Yep.
Kat
Oh,
said this. She loves to twist. And I'm with her on
yes.
that. I
Yep.
love twisting too. It gives you momentum and
Yeah.
something more interesting to work on.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. That's always been my thing with boxing. Cause like flow, I think I've got it down. Like I know how to get you guys to move and utilize more of your body versus just being planted and then focusing on like arm swings and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Boxing was a challenge for a while, but I'm finding out that there are ways to almost exaggerate certain movements or add a little bit of a like Kat said, a little bit of like a torque, like
Mm.
torquing your torso a
Hmm.
little bit to add an extra twist, or when you're doing your jab crosses, maybe you're going down a level, so now we add them underneath like the duck bars to engage your legs, and so we're basically taking existing movements and then adding another layer of movement on top of that, which clicks very well for me. I'm like, all right, this is how I want to box.
Hmm.
Like get firmly planted in a stance. But now instead of just staying here and getting comfy, I want to be able to move slightly off center. I want to be able to go a little bit lower. And then with the skaters where you're sliding from side to side, now I want to challenge people to slide from side to side, but then hop right back into stance.
Mm.
So like you're encouraging um you're basically training the user to come out of that stance, keep your guard up, but then quickly finding your way right back to it
Mm.
instead of being planted, doing your thing, then switching stances. So I like the idea of playing with like added layers of movement, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense because you get the basics. Okay?
Mm, hmm hmm
But so you're adding on to the basics. Okay, now let's lift your skill level here by adding in the layers. I love that.
Yeah, and like my thing was, just to go back to the skaters,
Yeah.
is the challenge isn't just the skating from side to side. The challenge is going right back to where you were
Hmm.
after you've done them, because if you do a couple of them in quick succession and then you go back to orthodox or you go back to southpaw, you might get that little arrow that's like, hey, you're too far forward.
Yes.
Like,
I get that all day long. I'm like, Arrow, go away.
right, you're like, I know, like I got this, like come
Yes.
on. And so the challenge is not in the execution of the skater itself, it's getting back to
Mm,
the stance.
interesting.
And so
Oh,
yeah, it's all, at least for that particular move, it's all about, reinforcing proper form and getting back into your stance and everything. So yeah, I think about these things a lot and like just trying to like add extra layers of movement and challenge that's not like, oh my God, like I gotta hit this. But
right.
so
Yes. You mentioned the skaters. Is this the first time that we're seeing them in a boxing workout?
mm,
No?
no, no. I've definitely used these before. And I know other people have used them before. They've existed for at least a year now.
Okay.
Um, which is almost why I'm like,
Why isn't why aren't other people picking up on it? That's what I'm wondering.
I think what it was Dwana in the warm up
Hmm.
says when you see the vertical bars, you're just gonna step to the side and do this. So I think there was a bit of a disconnect there between her and I.
Got it.
Um, because we actually, before skaters were a thing, we kind of workshopped them.
Hmm.
We had like a coaches ex choreographers meeting like maybe 2 years ago,
Okay.
about those, and we came to the conclusion that you're sliding from side to side. Um, yeah, so it just may have been a thing where they're not popping up often enough
Right.
to where all of us are synced, but yeah,
I
just
think it's
something.
also us as the users, as the athletes, we have a hardcore problem of skipping the warm-ups.
Uh,
And this last year, 2024, I made
uh,
my new rule to myself was on my first play of a workout, I would not skip the warm-up. It was hard because I was so used to skipping the warm up,
Yep.
but I realized how informational on
Mhm.
all the new movements and different things they're talking about them in the warm up. And
Yep.
so I'm always preaching now, don't skip the warm up. Don't skip the warm up. Doc is really good. He'll like yell at people right away. He's like, hey, 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 don't
Hey,
skip
don't
me.
skip this.
Don't stop. Stay right here. you
That's
know?
genius.
Yes.
That is genius.
And so maybe it's a part of, us. We need to be paying attention too. It's not just
Don't
y'all,
skip
it's
the
us.
warm up. No.
Especially new workouts.
Yeah.
That's when you guys are introducing new movements,
Mhm.
new different ways you'd like us to move. And I know there's some really cool lunges that Justin incorporated. I think the first time I ever noticed them was in a song called Remember, but that's removed from the library. So I'm going to reference Astronaut in the Ocean. And
Okay.
you're doing a lunge, but you're doing a toe tap.
Yes. And you're bringing that leg in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I noticed no one was doing that. And I'm like, why are people not doing that? I'm over here dying. My legs are shaking. Like, what is
And they're
happening?
hanging out. It's like,
And
yeah,
they're just
we're
like sitting,
good.
yeah, we're good. But they're skipping the warm up where they're
Yep.
talking about it. So, how can you guys give us new moves if we're not watching the warm ups and we're not learning them? So, now
Yeah.
I'm going to pay more attention with those skaters
Mm.
and make sure I'm doing them the way you intended us to move. That is the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea is like cyber surfing, right? Like where
Oh.
you're surfing the net or however you want to say it. But that was the idea with the skaters. It was just like a little nod to like that old lingo. But
Mhm.
yeah.
I also really like when you said the cyber arm, having that in the
Um.
rut and punching out there, coming that way with the power of
Yep.
your body. Oh man, that
Mm,
that's a really cool and to think about that while you're boxing. Now
mm.
when I go play it, I'm gonna try and harness that.
Yeah, I'm all about immersion in any way I can get it out there.
I would imagine, especially because you are such a gamer.
Yep. Oh my gosh. And I tend to incorporate things like that into maps when I can. Um, if I get an opportunity to, I'll do it. Like sometimes, like I can't think of a map like off the top of my head, but I know for a fact that I've choreographed motions that are like almost like sword slices
Hmm.
and things of that nature. Like if there's a way I can like get my nerd brain into a map, I absolutely will.
I
But
love that.
yeah.
I sometimes we pick up things like that, like the swords,
Uh,
or just the way a lyric in a song will
mhm.
be like love, and then you
Yes,
guys
and
will
it's a
do the
heart.
hearts,
Yep.
or down, and you've got us going down into a triangle
Mhm,
tunnel, that
mhm,
type of
mhm,
thing.
mhm.
Those are always my absolute favorite to pick up on.
Yep.
Those are real Easter eggs. Now, I know you guys call the balls that explode Easter
Easter
eggs,
eggs.
but a real gamer knows that's not an Easter egg. That's not what it is. So I name them joy balls because they bring me joy when I hit them. They
Yep.
make me very happy.
Yep.
Um, but like legit Easter eggs, like the swords or going
Right.
down, things like that.
Yep.
I'm always looking for that kind of stuff.
Acknowledging like a lyric here or there.
Yes.
Like yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Like Dave,
Yeah.
he likes to I call them Dave hugs because
Uh-huh.
he'll do the crosses and it's like you're hugging yourself right when someone says love or they're talking about positively about someone else like, and so I call them Dave hugs and pick them out
Oh.
when I'm trying to guess his workouts. But you do similar stuff to that. Okay,
Mhm.
you have this thing. You're the only person I have ever seen do this. These tiny triangles.
Mhm.
The tiny triangles. Tell me about the tiny triangles because they're even in your older maps.
Yep.
Um,
So I think that was, I've done those. Hmm. Okay, so these were birthed twice.
okay.
So the first time I used these was in some, it had to have been like a rap playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was I wanted people to, you're stepping from side to side, you're grooving. But I was like, man, like when I'm at a cookout, I'm not just staying up here. Like when I'm grooving, I'm going down. I'm like, I'm hitting levels. And so I wanted to hit that. And I was like, how do I get them to sidestep but
Mm-hmm.
go lower? I made it. It got kicked back. And they're like, don't do that. It's new. I was like, okay, cool. So months go by, and then I'm assigned a glutacious workout.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this might be the time to, resurrect these triangles
Yep.
because now we can go into a squat. We can step touch as we're in this squat,
Mm-hmm.
and we're activating your lower body in a way that we haven't done yet.
Mm.
Loved it. They
Yes.
loved it. And so I was like, okay, yes, great. So from there, I kept it for glutacious workouts. And then once people got acclimated, then I started adding it into standard flow
Mm-hmm.
workouts, just like as an added like level change, just to add some flair. Um, so yeah, that's how those came to be, and I
I
love them
absolutely,
dearly.
yes, I love them. I love them. The level change, the way
Uh-huh.
that you try to get us to move differently than just do a lunge, do a squat,
Hmm.
I appreciate. And the
Yep.
first time that really stood out to me was in a glutacious. And I'm wondering if this was the first time you did it or not. Um, it is a glutacious from December 2022. It is called Copitude. It has Leanne as the coach,
Hmm.
but the song, the map, the whole reason I do this workout is for truffle butter. And you featured those tiny triangles in such an expert way. You've got us doing lunges, then tiny triangle in a squat. You got us doing two steps, the step touches. Oh man, that map. Did you first of all, are you a fan of Nicki Minaj? Is that why you went all in on that map?
Listen, so I I used to be a barb.
Okay.
Used to be a long time ago. I'm not anymore, but Truffle Butter has always been a song that I have loved down.
Okay.
Down. I love that song so much. And so I was like, when I got in there, I was like, I'm about to cut up. I'm about to act a fool in here.
It's
And that's what I
great.
did.
You did. You did, and we loved it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Listen, that workout was mine and my other good friend Allison. I
Uh-huh.
call her twin. It was our warm up workout daily. Like anytime we got in the headset together, it was like, "What are we warming up to?" Oh, we. Why are you even asking? We already know what we're warming up to.
All right.
We're
Go
getting
ahead
in
and hop
cup.
in there.
Exactly. Like we played it nonstop. Anytime we had the opportunity to play it with others, we were playing it with
Hmm.
others.
Oh,
It is
I
so
love that.
fun.
I love
It was
that.
so fun. And then it was like, I think a year or so later,
Uh-huh.
yes, almost a full year later, you redid it for a high. Now, we have compared it because, we're obsessed and freaks like that. We've
Uh-huh.
taken the gameplay, and compared it. And my friend Julia did a comparison video where she actually did a side by side with them because I was like, I want to see
Mm.
them together. I want to see them together. And man, you bumped up the high version. Really nice. Really
So I
nice.
I wrote a note about this.
Okay.
Um, I hopped in to look at it.
Uh-huh.
That high, so we have like TPM ranges,
Yeah.
target per minute ranges and everything. And that high is 230, which is slightly higher than our median for pros. I accidentally
I accidentally made this
I,
fun.
I accidentally made this high map a pros level map, but it was so fun.
Right?
It was so fun to map. And I think that's one of those maps where the lyrical cadence, like we all have these songs that are like like miracle songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when the musicality hits, the lyrical cadence is fantastic.
Mm.
And so when you have those two things come together and you're able to actualize it with the mapping, it's joy for everyone. We get the
Mm-hmm.
satisfaction of mapping to it, but then when you guys hear it, you hit like bum 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 ba da ba da, and you're like, oh, I just hit that, and it's a lyrical
Yes.
cadence. You're like, okay, like there's like this added layer of joy because you're able to hear that rhythm,
Hmm.
but you're hitting that same rhythm at the same time, and it makes you feel like either you're background dancing or you're
Yes.
orchestrating or whatever. And so when a song allows you to do that, it's just joy for everyone. And that's
It's just
exactly what truffle
magic.
butter that
Hmm.
yes, and that's what truffle butter was for me. That's
And
exactly what it was for me.
you do feel like a backup. No, you feel like the main character. You are dancing on that stage, not even a backup dancer. That's what that map does for you.
Hmm.
Oh man, I freaking love that map. But ever since then, I noticed the tiny triangles every once in a while. And I really do appreciate them because the levels, the different levels, I'm
Yeah.
into it, man. I'm into it.
It just goes back to that notion about adding just like extra layers of movement to things.
Mm.
If I'm always looking for ways to do that. I'm always looking for ways to do that. So,
Oh man. So another new workout that came out.
mhm,
Mm, I got a lot to say about this workout. First of all, I have been requesting more Rufus de Soul for years.
mhm, mhm,
So into them. So into them. I woke up Monday morning. I saw CyberPunch 2025 and I saw Rufus de Soul Artist Series in all three intensities. I had some feelings about it being in all three intensities because I'm like,
mhm.
well, I had
Yeah,
some feelings
yeah,
about that. Some music should not be made in all three intensities. That is my personal opinion. Um,
I agree.
my
I
personal opinion.
agree.
Like truffle butter. Could you imagine making truffle butter in a low? It would not hit the same. You would
It
not be
would
the
not.
main character. You would
No.
not be the dancer in that map if it was in a low.
You be in the seats. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
you go
Just
up there.
vibing a little bit with your shoulders, not really, not main character
Exactly.
energy. But Rufus. So I was excited to see it because I know some people, community
Yeah.
members, have been asking for this for a long time.
Mhm, mhm,
I played the medium right off the
mhm.
bat. I love all intensity levels, but for something like this, medium spoke to me. I was like, I'm going to play medium
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Oh, it is so glorious. The whole set was so good. I guessed the wrong choreographer twice.
Was Lowry your first? Yeah.
Yes. It was 100% Lowry. The tails,
It
girl,
was
the
Tails.
tails
Yep.
perfection on there. The setups, often always talk about setups on the show.
Yep.
Um, one arm leading to the next hit, everything
Hmm.
was just perfect.
Yep.
Um, and I assumed. It wasn't until I played it again yesterday with Julia where I
Hmm.
made her play medium and I played high.
Uh-huh.
She originally had played the high and she noticed a tell of yours. Now I'm going to totally forget what that tell was, but she was helping me do some research for this
Uh-huh.
episode. And so she was playing one of your other maps that she knew 100% was yours. She goes, Marla, hold on a second. I'm going to blow your mind.
Oh.
This is what I just saw over here. And I'm like, are you serious? She's like, it's happening again. She's yelling at us right now on the screen while she's watching this. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, are you sure it's Aza's? So we had to reach out to Choreo Dad, to Dennis, because he
Yes.
helps us with our weekly polls and in the map group.
Awesome.
It was like, okay, we've already voted. I want to know who mapped this. I got to know who mapped this right now. And he confirmed it. It was yours. And I was like, yes, I cannot wait to talk to her about it tomorrow. So I have a lot to
I
say about this workout.
awesome. Cool. I want to know what the tell was
I,
now.
I do too. And she's going to message you when she listens to this. And she's going to be like, okay, Asia, this is how I figured it out. So
Oh, I
apologies
can't
for
wait to
not
know.
writing that down in my notes. But
That's a-okay.
I got to know, are you a fan of Rufus? If you're not, that's cool. I'm good.
I so I am a fan of the music Rufus the Soul makes.
Right.
So like I've never
I feel
been
that.
like so like I have a lot of music in my playlists that sound just like Rufus,
Oh,
but
fair.
I've never
You're not searching them out to listen.
exactly. I'm
Yeah.
not searching them out to listen, and that's nothing on the artists it like
No.
themselves, like
Right.
because I guess I wasn't exposed to them like
Mm-hmm.
um forever ago. So like when I listened to the music that I was assigned, I was like, I like them. Like I like them, and they're such a big name that I've heard the name before, but I didn't know the music that they made.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, this is what they're doing. I was like, I have music like this
Right.
everywhere. Like I like this. So I can't say that I'm a fan of them as an artist because I'm only just now being exposed to them,
Got it.
but I love them. Like I love them and I love the music they make.
Okay. I felt that in your mapping. I
Hmm.
felt that. The second song, Make It Happen, in the
Hmm.
medium,
Uh-huh.
mm, you do this thing with the step touch triangles and the way you move us.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that section right before that it goes into the windmills. Oh, it is glorious. It is so good. And my hips are just going, and then you getting
Yes.
us to do two steps and
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
oh man, it was so good. And it was funny because I was mentioning to Julie about the two steps in that song, but
Mhm.
they don't appear in the high version. That is a
You know,
difference.
yeah.
And I was like, they're not in the high, and I hadn't played the high yet. So we switched, and I'm like, see, Julie, it's missing these glorious two steps. And I made me think about how you guys map things for three intensities.
Hmm.
So maybe you were stepping down the high and had to take some targets out or something and added triangles to the medium. I wasn't sure. So I thought I would ask.
The challenge with mapping, so the mediums, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
the set list for Rufus the Soul works perfectly for medium.
100%.
It
Agreed.
it gets you to do everything that I wanted you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you got, you've got this like expansive tail work. You've got patterns that are um, achievable, but a little bit of a challenge. But then
Mm-hmm.
you get to dance through the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yes.
The problem that I was running into with low and high was because a lot of the songs had like these musical breaks
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of like like
Yeah.
airiness or like breathiness to the quality. It was hard for me to make the lows not too sleepy, and it
Mm-hmm.
was hard for me to kick the TPM into proper high range without making it feel like the rhythms were manufactured,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
So,
makes total sense.
and I hate doing that. I hate making highs high for the sake of being high.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the song is telling you to like,
Right.
ooh, I can't sing, but ooh,
Yeah.
but then the targets are like, there's a disconnect that I just
Right.
cannot stand.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge with this, and I think I mapped it high first, and then I shaved it down. But instead of just removing targets, I added back in that level of like danciness
Yeah.
that I really wanted. And the mediums were the easiest to map. They were the
They were
most fun to map.
great. Oh, man, they were great.
Oh, those were the most fun to map. Yeah,
Oh,
that
man.
it was an overall the mediums were a joy, but overall the mapping process was definitely challenging because
Hmm.
I found myself mapping and then reviewing it and be like, I don't like that. Let's
Mm.
go back. Let's do it again. And then you had to like find places where you could add in like for specifically for high,
Hmm.
find places where you could add in targets where it didn't pull you out of the almost like tranciness
Yeah.
of the song. So that's what I was like trying to battle against.
Hmm.
Because the music just it lends itself so well to being free.
Hmm.
And there's this essence of just like getting into like this flow state and
Yes.
just like zoning out. And when you're being faced with a whole bunch of like staccato targets, you kind of lose that.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a bit of a challenge.
Well, the very first song, Pressure, opens
Mm.
up with one of my all-time favorite things to see in flow. It's what I call three portal magic.
Mm-hmm.
When three portals, three lanes are open, you've got us facing the middle lane, but targets are coming and Chrissy
Mm-hmm.
moving. I absolutely love that. And I screeched and in a second I was like, this is classic Justin work. But I
Mm-hmm.
know Justin is not picking this. He's
No.
staying away from this. And then I went, this is Dave does this. Dave plays with three portals like this, but then the way you moved us in around, I was like, this is not Dave's. And so I went to this is Lowry's. And then I went, this is Benny's. So you threw me for a loop on this one. I'm usually pretty good at narrowing it down, but like I went through everyone until Julie and I played it together and she was like, no, this is Asia. I was like, are you sure? Are you serious? Are you sure? But that
She got me.
initial, she got you figured
She
out.
got me.
But that initial, you open up and three portal magic happens. It just set the stage for that medium intensity of
Mm-hmm.
Rufus. I absolutely loved it. There was also something else really rad that we have
Uh-huh.
never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the medium version.
Uh-huh.
Break My Love, the fourth song, there are these three triangles that come
Mm-hmm.
and they merge together, but they move you two lanes over. All
I
right,
think
listen. That was genius. That was epic. And those are so innovative because you're telling us, you clearly told us how we needed to move. It was very clear. I loved it. Now
thank
do that
you.
for an entire 360 spin. No.
Right. Just all the way over.
Yes, please. No,
So
it's really cool.
Break My Love, I think that's
Hmm.
what it was called.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite songs to
Mm,
map
mm,
because there was this, I don't know if you recall the song, but there is this like vocal, it was like a vocal vibration, I guess you would call it. But it's like, the song is doing its thing, and then every now and then you hear like a bada 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 doom 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 bada 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 bada, and I was like, I want to hit a triangle something every time that happens, every single time. So you're dancing through, and then maybe the first time it happens, you're going through a triangle tunnel that actualizes the little and so I I got to the point where I wanted to turn you around. I was like, I can't just have a turn here. Like there
mm,
still has to be some visual that helps me actualize that vocal like vibration that I'm hearing. And I was like, let's put triangles here that merge together and guide you the rest of the way.
mm.
And I was like, this is it.
Yeah,
This is
that was
it.
it. That was it. That was it. That was gold.
Yeah.
Those we noticed. We noticed. We noticed. We're picking up on what you put down. We got this.
Yes. Yes.
That was fantastic, man.
Thank
And
you.
the community seems to be going crazy for this artist series so far, which is
That's
great.
awesome.
It goes either way, sometimes with artist series.
Yeah. Yep.
But you
Yep.
did a fantastic job. But I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked. I shouldn't be because you're amazing, but I was not anticipating one because of the music. Sometimes I'm guilty of this. I pigeonhole you guys. Like, oh, they're not going to
That's
be really into
natural.
this music, like
Yeah.
they're not going to want to map this. Um, and then I kind of go from there with my guesses. But
Hmm.
man, chef's
I
kiss, that workout. Oof.
It might be because I shouldn't say scraps,
Hmm.
but I always get the workouts that aren't chosen
Hmm.
by anybody else. So that's probably why, like, when I do get things where I'm allowed to like really shine, it's like, oh, Asia did that, But yeah.
Dude, so impressed. And you have lots of workouts under your belt that are like that are like, whoa, what just happened to me? Like that was next level. Great. Um, but I was shocked. So now
Thank you.
I'm adding that into my memory bank because I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen you do three portal magic like that, where you got all three lanes open and dude, I love that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I
love that.
I definitely want to start incorporating that more often. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
now I can't assume it's Justin and Dave if you start incorporating it. So
and
things
I
will get a
have
little,
been. So like some workouts that come out,
oh,
you'll see.
oh, so I might be guessing the wrong. Okay, I'm glad to know that now. Oh man. Speaking of community loved workouts, because I really feel Rufus is all over the community right now. They
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
As is CyberPunch 2025. I'm going to mention a map. Mm. It is from a shower songs, Steal the Shower with Rainier. It is a
Uh-huh.
high flow. It is the very last song in this workout. My friend made me play this workout. It was not a workout I would normally pick. The song
Hmm.
selection, I was like, I don't want to, no.
Yeah.
She's like, Marla, just bear with me. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Justin Bieber, baby.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Listen, listen. I came to my chat group friends and I yelled at them. Why did nobody make me play this workout? Why has nobody told me how incredible baby is? And they're like, Marla, we told you. You just ignored us because you were like, oh, it's the shower songs. And they were right. They were right. Dude, that map. And they've recently come out with a quick hit, so now we can get to it really easy. Like Julie and I will skip the first song and just go play baby.
Go straight to baby.
Yeah, we go straight to baby. And we are moving everywhere. The two-step triangles, like, dude, it is so good. So good. Love that
You
map.
know, the funny story. Um, I do not like that song.
Most people don't.
I
Most people don't. Totally get it.
I was like, this is guilty pleasure. It's like
Is it well, it is a guilty pleasure song for me, like 100%. I've got memories of it. My
Mhm,
child liked it when she was little, and so it's
mhm.
just stuck in there. And there's this part where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't need no Starbucks, and it hits me, like
I don't
as
need
just
no
that basic, yeah,
Starbucks.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I sing that line every time, and so it's like grown on me over the
Yep.
years. Um,
Yep.
but man, that was the first time I had seen these backhanded long swoopy hits with the long,
Whoop.
yes.
Yep.
And at first, the first time they popped up, I was like, hold on, I don't know how to hit these. And then I figured it right out.
Yep.
And man, so rad. Such a fun
Usually
one.
that's a tell of mine lately.
Hmm.
Because I have it saved, and I don't know why I call them Hawkeyes.
Is
Don't
that
don't
what you
ask
named
me.
it?
I named them Hawkeyes.
Okay.
It's the you hit it outward and it goes, out and down and straight
Hmm.
back up. I don't know why I call them that, but that's I've been putting that in a lot of maps lately.
Hmm.
But yeah, that song was not a song that I enjoy, but there is no denying how joyous the song is.
Yeah.
And so you can't help but just create this like bubbly, like just
Hmm.
fun, like poppy, like map.
Yes.
Um, and then some of the lyrics just lent themselves to the choreography. Like when Justin is like, "I'm going down, 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 down," and like it was like, "Oh, I know what to do here." Like they're just
Hmm.
like, it was such an easy song to map because again, it's one of those like magical songs
Yep.
where the lyrical cadence or the lyrical content, you know, lines up with the music.
Mm.
And so you're able to hit all those like accents as well. So it just makes you feel like, you're on stage dancing or, you know,
I
whatever the case
love
may be.
that during this conversation, we have already picked up on a few of your tells. We got the Hawkeyes, those down hits there. That we'll be seeing in the future, y'all. Remember that. Remember that. And then she just talked about three portal magic, when the three lanes are open and targets are coming. She just said she was going to be using those, um, which is great because this is a question I often ask you guys. What does it tell? How can people start recognizing your choreography? So the more we can mention these little
Hmm.
tidbits that you like to include, the more people can recognize your
Hmm.
work. Um, we get asked that a lot in the For the Love of the Map group. Like, how do you guys know well, we've just studied it for so long. We just
Yeah.
try to figure it out. Would be awesome if Supernatural was like, and this map is made by Asia. That would be great. Um, but until then, we'll call it out here and make sure we add it to the album
Hmm.
for each choreographer in our private group. So if you guys are ever wondering if a workout belongs to someone, check their albums out. We try and populate them as often
Yeah.
as we get the information
That
because,
is awesome that y'all even have that. That is so
yeah,
cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
Mhm.
It's definitely would be cool to see Supernatural do something like that, but I understand why it doesn't get done. So we
Mhm.
are happy to be those people who do it, you know? I mean, this is our nerdy thing. This is what we
Yep.
geek out about. So let us be those people for you guys, you know?
Yeah.
I am
Mm.
surprised though that you did not like Baby as a song as a whole because girl, you that work that map gets us dancing and feeling the love, feeling the joy. I feel like I'm a teenager dancing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Objectively, it is a good song. Objectively, it's a great song. The chorus is great. You know, the even like the is it Ludacris who's like the rap feature on that
Yes.
song? Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. Like
Mm-hmm.
when his cadence when he's like rapping his verses, it's super fun.
Yeah.
I just personally don't like it, but
Right.
objectively, it is a great song. Like you got all like the right elements in there
Mm-hmm.
to
This
make
leads
something good.
me to something. This is the first, I want to bring up a workout. It's really old, dude.
Uh-huh.
And it's the first time I ever saw you or who you were in the
Mhm.
community. Like, she's
Mhm.
a choreographer. She's the one who's
Uh-huh.
making this map. Who is this? Um, and it also ties into all the movement you like to get us to do. And
Mhm.
it is a medium with Leanne,
Mhm.
fuego, pure salsa
Ah,
where you legit positioned the triangles to get us to do the salsa steps.
yes. Yes.
My
I
mind
want to
was
bring those
blown.
back.
My mind was blown the first time I played that. I include it as often as I could in suggestions and competitions and things, just trying to get people. And I always scream at them, "Don't skip the warm up," because
Mhm.
you'll be lost if you skip the warm up. There's very specific movements for this workout.
Yep.
Um, t- I want to hear
Yeah.
about the creation of that
So,
workout, man.
um, wow. So that was
Long ago.
it was long ago, but I do remember taking that salsa class because like I had already taken salsa classes before, but
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to get all the choreographers up to speed and get them aligned for this workout.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all took this class together at the office and they hired like this professional like salsa instructor and it was a blast. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, as I'm like going through the lesson, I'm thinking to myself like, all right, what movements can I are achievable in supernatural?
Right.
And so, you know, we're going through the class. I'm like, ooh, this step out to the side seems like it'd be a really nice one. I'm like, okay. And then, you know, you can add that with like some shines, like adding like arm flares and stuff. I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna focus on. So I get in the headset and I'm like, all right, if I'm stepping, but I'm not stepping together, I'm stepping out. Logically, it makes sense to take a step triangle, but then jut out one of the legs to signify that you're stepping out and then back to center.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's how that came about. And of course, the music was fantastic. So that
Mm-hmm.
was just a blast to make. Um, but the reason we haven't utilized that step anymore is because I think it just happened too soon in the supernatural like lifespan at that
Mm-hmm.
point in time. People weren't acclimated to learning like new movements just yet. Like
Mm.
now I feel like our user base like is ready with open arms for a lot of those things.
Yeah.
But so early on it was like jarring and it also looked very similar to just the lean triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So some people were like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna just lean through this," but it's like, no, it's slightly smaller,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
So
definitely.
if there I want to bring it back because it just it feels so good
It
for
really feels good. Really
it
feels good.
feels so good for that series. Um, so
It's
yeah,
got to be
once I
difficult to
mhm,
translate how you want us to move, for
mhm,
us to visually understand it and see it and
mhm,
be able to recreate those movements. I often wish I could see the choreographers
yeah,
doing the workouts that we are playing and how you
mhm,
do the movements, especially if it's like a new triangle, like in the salsa
yeah,
workout. I really loved seeing that video, that social post they used. Um, it was so amazing. You were like doing salsa and then it just jumped straight into the headset. and you were doing the moves. But this is also an example of don't skip the workout, y'all, because if we want new movements, they're gonna
Don't skip
go
the
over
warm
it.
up.
Yes, don't skip the warm up. I want new movements, you guys. I want new
Right,
movements.
right.
Stop skipping the warm ups.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
got to
and
be
I feel
difficult
like
to translate, though.
it is. It's really tough, but I think I can speak to all of the choreography team
Hmm.
when I say that it's one of those things that it's one of those challenges that we enjoy. Like of all of the things that we have to like, of all of the challenges we have
Yeah,
to like deal with, trying to translate a new move into headsets one of the more like fun projects that we get to do. And so, um, yeah, we would do it more often, if we had
yeah,
like the tools to.
right.
Um, but yeah, we love that. We love that. So,
That's amazing. Um, I'm trying to think
uh-huh.
of. I know there's a pros only. I don't have this in my notes. It's just
Mhm.
so I might not remember the name of it. The
That's all right.
pros, I remember the name of the pros. It's Not in This Alone. You have the first two songs. Justin
Uh-huh.
has the back three songs.
Uh-huh.
The first song, um, the way you get us to move with the triangles. Again, you do a tiny triangle. I'm obsessed with your tiny triangles. I'm not going to stop talking about them. I'm not going to stop. Um,
Noted.
the way, and then in the second song, you do the same thing. Oh man, it's like a pros only glutacious workout. The first two songs, kick your butt,
Hmm.
kick your tail. If you're really doing the triangles, if you're really trying to do the
Yep.
movements, again,
Yep.
it's not just a squat and a lunge. There,
Hmm.
you guys are really getting us to move around a lot. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's always been my challenge with like pros. I don't do a lot of pros content,
Hmm.
but it's one thing that I want to increase this year.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but my challenge was I know how to get you to move in a way that is pros only level, right? Like I can get you to feel like, oh my God, like, like, oh, my legs are burning or my core is like
Yeah,
is so tight. But sometimes trying to also hit the target count is a little tricky.
that makes
Um,
sense. You
yeah.
got to have that. You got to have that balance. You got to have the targets be
Yeah.
at the pros level plus the movement.
Right.
Hmm.
And sometimes, at least for me, what the challenge is once I hit that target count or like where it should be, I find that because it's so dense that I'm sort of planted. I'm sort of like
Hmm.
here in a solid stance and I'm like focusing more on like a cognitive challenge versus like a
Yeah.
physical like moving thing. So once I get that ironed out, I think I'll be in a great spot, but that's a challenge for me right now. I want to be able to add the like movement quality
Right.
to a prose where it's like, "Oh my God, like there are two more songs left?" Okay.
I need
So,
a pause. I
right.
need a minute.
So,
Oh, I actually looked up the song I was talking about from the pros only, Not in This Alone. It's the first song. It's an
mhm.
Ariana Grande song, Not Into You. It is
Never
so
let
good.
me out.
Yes,
Dun, 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 dun,
it is
dun. I think
so
that's it,
good.
yeah.
That is it. That is it. It is so good. I really love that one.
I love Ariana Grande. So,
Same, same. Man, girl can sing.
yeah.
Talent for
Oh,
days.
days. Oh my gosh. And her as Galinda in Wicked. Oh, amazing.
Are you a Wicked fan?
Yes.
Big Wicked
Yes.
fan?
Yes. I love Wicked. I love Wicked. Love Wicked. I wish I could sing.
Uh,
So I could just
uh,
do the run all day. But
Did you have this is totally off. We have no notes on this. Did you help with the new Wicked medium flow that came out? I believe you had a song in that one.
the song I mapped was I may have mapped two, but I think the song I mapped that I had the most fun mapping was Defying Gravity.
Yes. Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
oh my
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
goodness. And
Uh-huh.
when when you put Easter eggs into a map, you have to hit it, let it do its thing, and then go on. I was like, nah, we can't do that. So I've got these green bubbles and butterflies, and so you're hitting it and you're going, and another one comes and you hit it, and you keep going and you hit another one. And so the idea was like you're just being surrounded by like this magic.
Yes.
As you're going through, and as Elfie is, like proclaiming like this like reclamation of her power.
Hmm.
She's like, like, okay, well, if it's just me, then I'm gonna do this, but everyone's gonna know who I am. And like, I was like, this has to have Easter eggs, joy balls everywhere.
Yes.
Like we have to have those to to make your hair stand up, to get the
Yes.
shivers like going up and down your spine. You have to have that so that you have the same feeling, at least as I would imagine, as Elfie does when
Hmm.
she's saying all this. She's losing her best friend at this point. She people are after her, and she's like, "All right, well, like she's like, all right, this is it. Like I gotta go." And I wanted to capture all that.
I really
So
feel like you did capture all that. I was so shocked when I got to that song and I was playing it. I paused like 15 seconds in and sent my chat group a voice text out of breath. Like, y'all, hold on, hold on. I just got to a spot I could pause where I won't miss anything. And then I went back in. Oh, it took me by surprise. It's complex, it's magical. The joy balls, what you did with those Easter eggs was perfection. Um, you had some, like I said, some complexity in there with multi-lane work a little bit. I was
mhm.
a little shook. I was a little shook by it. I was surprised and I thought, wow, this is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the challenge I will say with that song was the length, but it was more of the dialogue.
That's what I
Like
was about to
how
say because they're talking. So how is
they're
it to map?
yes.
Ugh,
It
that'd be
was
hard.
hard. It was
Hmm.
hard. And what I had to do for that was put myself like, okay, I'm Elfie, I'm Galinda, I'm on stage. What is the blocking? What is the choreo for the acting instead
Mm,
of the dance?
that
Right?
is
And
smart.
so a lot of the emotions you see during the dialogue is um like there are some moves, right? Like you go down to a squat. Like I have to keep you moving. But in between all of those motions, there are things where it's like, like instead of flying off the handle and maybe you're like off the handle, like you're like being sassy a little bit and you're tracing tails, but they're like arm gestures to show that you're
Yeah.
having a conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a trick, but I had to like sit there for a second because when I got in, I was just in like just general like mapper mode. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, I'm just gonna start choreographing. I'm like, this doesn't work. And so I scrapped it all, went back to the beginning of the song, and I was like, let me just listen to the dialogue. Let me just literally just stand here, play it back, and just think. And I literally just sat there and I thought for a bit. I was like, okay, if I were acting, this is what I would do. And then it evolved from there, from like choreographing dialogue and gestures to then as the music ramps up, now I'm casting spells. Like I created like this little like S tail thing in there at one point,
Yes.
and that was me just like casting a little spell, and then we get into the actual like meat and potatoes, and that's when the movement gets a little more grandiose and all that. So it was a
I
fun
was
one.
Yeah, it is fun to play. So I'm glad you had fun mapping it and creating it. And it's
Mm,
very interesting to hear your process when you're kind of stumped. Like you're like,
yeah.
well, how am I going to map this? They're just talking. And
Yep.
you take it back to the acting. How are you going to act this out?
Mm.
They're talking to each other, having a conversation. That's fascinating to me, the process of it. Um, because I was going to ask, what is your mapping process? You get assigned a song, you listen to it, what are you doing? But you just explained it so perfectly with defying gravity, how you would take that challenge on. So,
Yeah.
say it's a song you absolutely love. What would your process be?
Yeah. So and maybe it's a cop out answer, but my process changes depending on like the project that I'm given.
Makes
And of
sense?
course, there are certain things that there are certain like comfort things, right? Like I have certain snippets that I know work well with certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have like there are certain, I guess, patterns within the way I approach a workout that are similar, but the overall approach can vary depending on what I'm given.
Right.
But if it's a song I love, right? I think the one of the things I take into consideration for a song that I really enjoy is, all right, I want to create a new-ish move. Not
Mm.
so new where a coach is like, hey, we have to put this in the warm up, but something that's like, ooh, this tail is a little different, but I know how to get into it, right?
Yeah.
So I try to create something that's like new-ish or fresh. I'll use the word fresh.
Fresh. Okay. Yeah.
So I try to create some movement that's fresh that I can like incorporate maybe into like the choruses so it comes around a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm focused on like getting you to dance or something. So that way you have something to chew on that's like, oh, this is new. I like this. But you still have a sense of familiarity
Mm-hmm.
in between to like really keep you in that flow state.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other things I focus on with music that I really enjoy, actualizing the lyrics.
Mm.
Like if there's something that I can hit in there, like, okay, get on up to get down. There's a song. There is what is it? Oh, what's it called? I mapped it like a couple weeks ago. It's by Kim Petras, and it's I don't think the workout's out yet, but be on the lookout for it. There's a song by Kim Petras, and
Okay.
it's called, oh my gosh, I might have to send this to you like
Okay. And I'll add it
after
in when I'm
this.
editing. Not a problem.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there is a song called that will be in this workout, and I had never heard the song before, but immediately getting in, I was like, oh, I love this.
Mm.
And so my process was, all right, I'm getting y'all to dance first and foremost. That's always what I want to do. But I'm now I'm going to be matching the lyrical cadence. And what that means for me is like if she's like ba-da ba ba bow, I'm making sure on the ba-da when she's like sustaining the vocal, you're hitting some kind of like tail or a swing.
Mm.
So it's like it's all right. Get out da, get on up to get down. Like you're actualizing all
Mm-hmm.
of that. So that's another thing that I tend to do with music that I really love. Like I listen to the lyrics, see what I can like make y'all like almost imitate,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, and then lately trying to be a little more liberal with the joy balls. So instead of just like using it as like a boom, all right, take a quick breather. No, it's like a boom. This is surrounding you as you're continuing to dance,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's what is in this song by Kim
Oh.
Petras.
Okay.
So she says something and she kind of hits she I can't remember, but she's like almost completing a verse and she's like
Mm.
ba da ba 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 ooh here we go or something like that. That's the general vibe. And so what in the notes I put, hey, coaches, when you hit like a soap bubble Easter egg, that's just ambiance. You're still moving. But I wanted to use the soap bubbles because they're clear. You know, they've got a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of color, but they're clear. So it's just more ambiance and it's not gonna obstruct your vision too much to where you can't see the targets coming.
Yeah.
And so um that's what's in there. And then like if there's like a joy ball that has color to it, like maybe it's green or it's butterflies, that's your break.
Mm.
That's when you can
Okay.
like take it in for a second and then we get back into it. But yeah, be on the lookout for that one because I was trying to inject as much joy as I could in that particular map. And so, yeah,
Well, I'm
it's a
excited
fun
for
one.
this one.
Yeah,
Excited.
that was a fun one. So every now and then, the choreographers and I will have like we call like a peer review.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like four of us will submit maps that we are like particularly proud of or something that we struggle with that we needed advice on. And
Okay.
so I submitted this Kim Petras map and literally within the first like 15 seconds, you're like, Asia! Like, oh my God. Because I think in the first like couple seconds, you hit a little pattern and then you hit the soap bubbles and then you have like this little dance party going on. It's all during the intro. And so
Oh.
you're surrounded by these like soap bubbles as you're like dancing through this choreo. And I remember Benny being like, Asia, oh my God, this is fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you,
It,
Sensei.
well, see, the joy balls add to the overall experience and to the sass that you bring to the choreography,
Yeah.
all of it. So I love
Yeah.
that you're using them in this way. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost like my own like workaround, if you will, to environmental effects. Because
Mm.
I think I can mention this. It's we had like a hackathon some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the projects that I had the absolute pleasure of working on with Jenny, her name's Jenny, she's one of the engineers. Uh, we worked on environmental effects. And so
Mm-hmm.
what we do was we would program certain targets once you hit them to trigger like lightning or rainfall or snow or like I think we had like a sandstorm coming through.
Oh,
Um, so it was such a blast, and I
yeah.
was like, we have to incorporate this at some point. Like
Right.
um, I fun fact, I used my favorite song from the Midnight to choreograph to
Mm-hmm.
for that hackathon.
Mm.
I kind of just like brute forced it in. We
You
don't have
brute for it.
rights
You're
to it.
like, here, we're using this.
Yeah. Like we're gonna use this for our project. Like we don't have the rights to it. It's just for we're just doing this for internal, just like review and testing anyway. We're gonna use this song, okay? It's fine. It's fine. And it was a blast. It was a
I
blast.
I have a dream
Uh-huh.
of something very similar to what you're talking about, the environmental effects, um, with like a storm joy ball,
Hmm.
where you would hit it and then like lightning bolts would come out and then thunder would happen and then like the sky would turn into a storm, and then towards the end of the song or something like the sun would come back out. I don't know. I always thought that would be a really cool thing, and I'm sure someday in the future, something like that will eventually happen, but just the whole idea of using the Easter eggs, the joy balls, to change the environment would be really cool.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is we know it's possible. And we
Mm.
were using such like rudimentary like tools to make it happen
Hmm.
that I know if we devoted true time and energy to it that it would be game changing.
Hmm.
Literally game
Game.
changing.
Yeah, it would.
But it was such an amazing project to work on. I think about it all the time.
Do you
Um,
like working on projects like that where you're just out
oh
of your comfort
yeah.
zone in a different area, working with someone from engineering, you
Hmm.
know?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love stuff like that because like I obviously I love my day job. I love getting to choreograph, maps and everything to get you guys moving. But I love being able to contribute to something like a little greater, like that.
Hmm.
That if it means that it's going to make the app overall a better product, I want to be a part of it. I want to be
Yeah.
a part of it, and I know one thing because my mind's going all over the place, but I think why I loved working on environmental effects so much is because it's the main reason, that our users love the app, aside from being able to move and,
Hmm.
all of that, is because they're immersed in such
Yeah.
beautiful environments, right? Like you're there because you're transported. There's a certain level of like escapism to our app that people enjoy.
Yeah.
And if you're able to take this canvas that is the environment and add some motion to it, add a little bit of extra color to it, it's only going to make the level of immersion for you all that much better.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I and I love working on things like that, like
Yeah.
for the greater good
I
of the
like
app.
that.
So
So, like supernatural together, the idea of getting people together, working
hmm
out together. Did you enjoy working on that?
I did. I
Good.
did. Initially I was like, oh well, they kind of already have a workaround for this. Like they've been doing this for a while, but like
Right.
if it meant that we had a native version like in our app that people could use, I was all for it. You know.
And the visual effects in Supernatural together are my
Oh my
favorite part.
God.
Are my
Yes.
favorite part.
Now that is a blast.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Mm-hmm.
blast.
Yep.
That is a blast. Like the challenge zones, the victory
Yes.
tunnels. Oh my gosh, that is an absolute blast.
Yes, those tunnels, man, and when the environment starts to get a little bit dark and then the people start
Yeah.
coming closer together right before,
Yes.
I'm into that. I always said during those challenge zones, it would be really cool if in, instead of the normal environment that you're in,
Mhm.
you went into space just during that section and then
That would be
come
tight.
back like you're in a wormhole, you're like in a tunnel.
Yes. Oh Yes. And you gotta fight your way out, get
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to it. That's a great idea, actually.
I'm with you on all the environmental ideas and stuff. I
Yeah.
think it's really fun. Well, obviously, I love choreography. That's the main reason. The way you guys
Yep.
get us to move,
Yeah.
that is that is my love.
Yeah.
But I also really like the environments,
Mhm.
and it would be cool to see more movement within things, whether
Yeah.
it's with the joy balls, like you were
Mhm.
talking about, and they're going around you. They don't bother me. You can put as many of them. I know there's rules, but you can put them in. They don't bother me. I'll still hit
Yeah.
targets.
You're still
You know,
locked in. You're like,
I'm
I
still
got
locked in.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've been doing it 3 years. I'm
Mhm.
not looking at targets. I'm looking at the portal. So I
Right.
sight read in that way.
Yeah.
But everyone's a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me all the joy balls. Give me all the
Yeah.
distracting things. I'm here for it.
Yeah. She's like, I'm still locked in. I still got this. But it's yeah, they're so fun. They're so fun. So any opportunity I get to use them like more liberally, I'm just like, yes, just let me do it. Let me
You're
do
going to
it.
stick them in there.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
So I have a very introspective sort of question to ask you.
Sure.
And that is from the time that you started working at Supernatural and
Hmm.
putting out maps for all of us to play,
Uh-huh.
how do you feel like your choreography style has changed and evolved?
Wow.
Right? It's a huge question.
Yeah, and it's a tricky one to answer because I could look back at a map that I made like 3 months ago and be like, I'm so different from then to
Oh.
now. I feel like I am. It's a double-edged sword
Mm-hmm.
because there will be times where like I grow and evolve so quickly that people are like, oh, this is fresh, this is great. But then on the other hand, it's like, oh, like this is too much, or oh, this is way too different. Scrap it, can't stand it.
Right.
And so I take the good with the bad. It's just it's a pro and a con of being a choreographer. But
Right.
I could look back, as far as a couple months ago, or as short of a span as a couple months ago, and be like, this is so different.
Mm.
But I guess in a broader sense, when I first started, I was more think like almost like jazzercise or like a dancer size type
Mm.
of format. So it'd be like, all right, lunge and up, 2 hits here and lunge and up. Like
Mm-hmm.
more of like that kind of like that style where you're
Style.
getting the workout in, right? You're getting
Mm-hmm.
the workout in, but it's more of like a exercise like rep like
Mm.
focus.
Yes.
Um And once I realized that I could push the envelope ever so slightly, like over time, I started to incorporate more dance elements. And then I was able to start getting you guys to move, you know, in a more expansive way. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think my overall like mapping style has shifted from more of like a rigid, let's get this workout in knee and ha and ooh and ah to more of like a all right, like we're gonna add some personality, some flair, some flavor here.
Some
You're still gonna
sass.
get some
Mm-hmm.
sass that
Mm-hmm. Yep.
all day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you're gonna get that workout in, and you might get some reps here and there, but you're gonna feel like you're like on stage
Mm-hmm.
either as a background dancer or like you're the lead. Like
Yep.
I think that's where I am now in I guess my choreographer journey. 'Cause it's definitely a journey. Um, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
I would love to do like a little study of like taking your maps, your personal favorite maps through like one or two from every 6 months that you've
Oh,
started working there and like
yes.
checking them out and doing like some sort of video comparison of them. Like, I just think it would be a cool thing to do because I think you would see how much you've changed in your style and how much you've evolved. All for good, all for good.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be you know, Asia and Marla part 2.
Oh, here we
I'm
go. That's a good
thinking
idea.
I think that's our second episode right
All
there.
right. I think that's a fantastic idea. And we could just get into a total breakdown and
Yeah.
break it completely down for everyone.
Honestly, would love that.
All right.
I would love that.
I'm
I
down with
would
it.
love that so much. That's such great content.
It
That's
is
such great
great
content.
content. It is great content.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow.
And you can see how much you've pushed the envelope and how much you've changed from rigid
Yeah.
to you're getting us to do the fun thing, but
Yeah.
we're exercising and don't realize it,
Yeah.
you
You
know?
know? Yeah, and like I'm already thinking about like being able to identify those maps where like you see me stumble. Like
Hmm.
as I'm growing and evolving, you see the hiccups like in that process. Like I'm like, okay, this didn't work a little bit. This wasn't that great. Let's adjust and continue. Um, that would be very interesting to look back at, like with
Like
a
a
more like critical eye.
retrospective.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to be clear. Supernatural is my favorite. Everything about Supernatural is my favorite. I came in here 2021. I fell in love with Supernatural, the mapping, all of it. It got me to exercise for the first time in my adult life. First time
Mm,
in my adult life. So when I am critical and say things like, that wasn't really fun, or it was more rigid, or when I'm looking back on maps from
mhm.
2020 or 2021,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's still with love. It's
Oh, of
still with
course.
so much
Of course.
admiration.
Yeah.
But I do love doing the comparison things and
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
how far everyone has come and the mapping has come.
Hmm.
Um, every year on my birthday, well, for years, new content came out daily, right?
Yep.
And now we get them once a week.
Yep.
Um, this My birthday fell on a Monday this year. So when I said this is my birthday workout, it really was my birthday workout. All right. So every year on my birthday, 11/11, I
Uh-huh.
claim a workout, right? I'm like, okay, this one's my birthday workout. And never in my life did I ever imagine claiming a low boxing as my birthday workout, okay? But what you did in this very particular low boxing, I think this is like full circle moment here for you. Let
Uh-huh.
me let me think how I'm gonna explain it. You get us to move in a
Mhm.
low boxing so much. There is so much leg, glute, core work. You are dancing, you are moving. It is a Y2K baby up in the club with Coach
Uh-huh.
Doc. I
Ah.
mean, it's got I mean the playlist. You got
Head
Headsprung.
sprung. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
It wasn't me, disco and pullover.
Oh my God.
But the last song, Pullover by Trina, that map in a low box, it's a low boxing. Obviously, you hear this music and you're like, I want this in a high. I don't want this in a low, okay? But you did it justice. And that's what blew my mind. I was like, why do I love this? This is a high playlist, maybe a medium if we're pushing it, but never low.
Absolutely a high playlist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely a high
Mm-hmm.
playlist.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think, and this is going to be hard to put, it's going to be hard to like quantify, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't me. Pull over especially. That was just like that. I think that map, we'll talk about that one individually in a second. But I think with that playlist with, what was the other song? Headsprung was in
Head
there.
sprung. Mm-hmm.
Um, the songs are hype enough. I mean, they're obviously the songs are hype. They're
Yes.
bangers. So of course they're gonna be easy to map in high.
Mm-hmm.
But they're at a certain like tempo where low it worked out in such a way where like low intensity users could still get that groove
Yeah.
and it not be too quick.
Right.
And those were magical songs. Like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
the like uncles and aunties can still like do their little like grooves
Yep.
to those songs, and then you got the hardcore ones like up in the club,
Yes.
up in the back, bop bop. Like you have the ability to those songs cover a range in a way
Mm-hmm.
that like the lows are not sleepy,
No, that is
and
not a
I
sleepy low. That is not a sleepy
no
low. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No.
not a sleepy low.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, those they were fun to map. They were fun to map, and the Trina one I went into with a little bit of a goal in mind.
Okay.
So anytime I get Trina, Meg the Stallion, even though the workout might not be glutes, you
It's
getting you
gonna be a
getting some,
glute.
you're gonna get some, you're getting some glute action in there. And so I had to do it. Like there, that I think the Trina one had more duck bars in it than I normally would add in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um like a low boxing workout or map. But yeah, I had fun with that one. I had fun.
It's fun. It's fun. Y'all should go play it because it is a low. When we're talking about the
Hmm.
targets,
Hmm.
all they come, that's low intensity.
Yep.
But the movement, the duck
Yes.
bars, the bobs
Yep.
and weaves, I
Yes.
mean, you are getting to, and so if you are doing all that is asked of you, ooh, you're gonna get a
Hmm.
great workout. You're gonna get a fantastic, and it's fun.
Yep.
It's so
Yep.
fun. You forget you're working out. I mean, my
You
heart
do.
rate, I played Trina yesterday. Julie and I played it together. Both of our heart rates were in the red. We're both like,
Hmm.
how is she doing this to us in a
Yes.
low? Like, this is amazing.
Yes.
It was so good.
Yes.
It was so good and focused.
Fantastic.
It was very
Yeah.
focused. So cool that you mention that if you ever get Trina, you're going to get glute work in because
Oh
my
yeah.
glutes are screaming today. They are sore.
Yeah. Yep. Trina, Meg the Stallion. Like if y'all see those, like if yeah, if y'all see those and it's me, you're getting a lower body workout. You're getting the stallion legs. You're
And you're
getting the
getting this
Megan
down.
knees.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that brings me to another song that I've read. You've
Uh-huh.
made a comment
Uh-huh.
that if it ever comes up in Supernatural, you're grabbing it. And it's Rush. And I've seen it in a pros only boxing with
Boxing.
Mark,
Yep.
Flaming Hot Pop,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, that map. So anytime we see Rush, that we should assume is probably yours because you're like, I want that song. I want that song.
Yep. Unless it's a reshuffle or a level down and
Mm.
somebody else got assigned, if it's original, it's probably me.
And that pros only boxing was a huge
Yes.
workout in the community. The
I
community loved that workout. Loved it.
yeah, that was my it wasn't I don't think it was my first pros boxing, but it was my first stab in a long while. And so I was like, "Oh, let me get back in here and see what I can do." And so like there were some moves like in hindsight I played back. I'm like, like I would change this. I would change this. This doesn't feel great." But then there were other things that I was like, "Oh, like this was I was in my bag with this one. Like this was great, you know? Fun playlist." And yeah, I think that's one of those playlists where I feel like I was on that journey of
Yeah.
growth
Yeah.
at least in terms of pros. So I was able to like gather data, see what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
change it
it was
up for
so
your
fun.
next ones.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was a
Helps you
fun
grow.
playlist.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was a fun playlist. That's a good workout. That is a
Thank you.
fantastic workout. And, back to the evolution in
Uh-huh.
all of this. And you said, just thinking about how you mapped 3 months ago,
Hmm.
things have changed.
Hmm.
So when when a workout comes to us, it's like months later.
Yes. Yep.
Like the process. So you
Uh-huh.
would have worked on it 3, 4 months ago, and now we're getting, and then
Yeah.
you go play it. You're like, well, hold on a second,
Yep.
because you're looking at it with new, fresh. You've
Hmm.
evolved since then.
Yeah.
Does that happen a
Yeah.
lot to you where you're like, oh
Yes.
man, I wish I would have done this differently?
Yes. All
Uh,
the time. All the time. And then sometimes like I'll see something and like, oh yeah, this didn't work. I'm like, I know. Like I'm sorry. I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I know. Like I've
God.
grown past that. That was like 90 days ago. Like I've already grown. I know. I promise it won't happen again.
Oh no, oh no.
Again, pros and cons, but
Yes, pros and
um
cons.
yeah, like I'm always growing, but sometimes like it is like a dang, when you like you're already aware by this time
Yeah.
that something didn't work, but now it's released. You're like, well,
What's out there
you know,
now?
yeah,
Let's see how they take it.
yeah, yeah.
So, your first full curated workout baby was a high intensity boxing.
Hmm.
Is it safe to assume your favorite thing to map is high intensity, or I should not assume anything?
No, I think my favorite overall is probably
Hmm.
high flow,
Okay.
but that was I was very intentional when I was curating that whole thing, and
You had a vision.
yeah, and trying to take music that I love, um, and craft it into a package that makes sense. It wouldn't have made sense for high flow,
Hmm.
just because like the music almost commands you to battle. Like it's electronic, almost battle music, right? Like
Yes.
you
Hmm.
have to be, you're you have to fight. Like
Right.
that's what the music is calling you to do, um, and not so much like dance. I've been thinking about creating a flow version, but like music in that same genre or like wheelhouse, but not not in the same tone that's like, hey, this is boxing. And I've
Hmm.
been thinking about calling it the neon cassette tape, like
No.
because it's got that retro like 80s kind of sound to it. So I want to
Yeah.
be in that wheelhouse, but using music that or lends itself more to dance versus, you know, fighting. So
Fighting.
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. So
yeah.
is that your focus for this year, creating more workouts of your own?
Yeah, that is one of my personal commitments. Like I hopefully Dennis doesn't see this because if he sees it, he's gonna be like, "No, Asia, you said you were gonna," you
You
know.
said.
Yeah, so it's more of like a quiet, um, like personal commitment to myself to make more because I feel like we have this saying in dance, where like as a dancer, if you're teaching your by teaching your teammate the choreography, you in turn learn it better yourself. Like
Hmm.
because now that I have to teach you this choreo, I'm forcing myself to learn it again, right?
Yeah.
I'm conveying it to somebody else and I'm actualizing those movements in my head again, so now I can execute it better.
Hmm.
Um, it's similar. By me being able to choreograph these workouts and then curate them as well and come up with the direction, choose a choose a coach that I feel would match the overall theme the best, who would be willing to take it with open arms. I think I'm developing a, a deeper understanding of the creation process as a whole,
Yes.
which is the overall goal of the whole thing. Um, Obviously, I want to flex my creative brain more, but also just want to get more in depth or get more like in tune with the overall process itself.
Yeah.
So,
I respect
yeah,
that. Admire that. I love that.
yeah.
And it's really cool that you work for a company that will allow you to do that.
It's a blessing.
Yes.
It's 1000% a blessing. Like I wake up every day. Like I get to like I work right here.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. Like I work here and I'm doing things that I love. I get to talk to people who are also creative. I get to talk to people like you, which is amazing in its own right. But like, yeah, it
Yeah.
it's 1000% a blessing.
Could you have imagined yourself in this sort of position, like when you were a senior in high school and thinking
Mm-mm.
about your life?
If
Wow.
you would have told high school Asia that I would be doing this, I would have probably like peed and thrown up in a corner.
You didn't throw it off. Keeping
If
it
we,
real.
right, if we have to clip that, we can clip it. But
No.
being so real, I
I
would have been
love
in
that.
a corner
I
just
appreciate that.
because it's such a niche
Yeah.
like intersection, right? Like
Hmm.
being able to use my degree in dance and my know-how of like gaming and tech and being able to you know
Fuse those.
yes, and then to use that ability to like create a product that is doing like good for
Changing
people.
lives. Changing
Yeah,
lives.
you know,
Hmm.
that's that's the part that's unreal, and I would never have believed it.
Mm.
I moved out here to LA thinking that I was going to have a more traditional um career in dance,
Hmm.
maybe it's music videos, concerts,
Hmm.
um, touring on a cruise ship or something. That's what I had the intent of doing when I moved out here. I This was not on my bingo card.
No.
This was not on my bingo card.
True
But
unicorn, like Benny said. They were looking for
Yeah.
unicorns, and
Yeah.
you are one of them.
It helps that I love unicorns.
Yes, I love unicorns too.
But
And
yeah.
cats. And I meant to ask because you have your little kitty ears. Are you a cat or a dog person?
Man, okay, so this is a
Give it to me.
complicated answer.
Mm-hmm.
If if I lived in a house, like
Mm-hmm.
I have a studio apartment, but if I lived in a home with a yard, dog person. I've always wanted a Shiba Inu.
Oh,
Yeah, and I grew up with dogs. My fun fact, my dad when I was younger was working all the time. Always worked. And I was like, "Dad, I'm kind of lonely," and he thinking he's gonna spend more time with me. I get
right.
home one day and there's just a dog. I was like, "Okay, well, hey, hi." So I've grown up with dogs my entire life, and I had this little teacup poodle.
Mm.
More on that story if you care to. It's a very short story, but we can come back to that in a second. Um, but I've been considering getting a pet.
Mm.
Um, but for here, it would be a cat. And
Mhm.
I personally love Sphinx cats, the
Yeah.
hairless cats,
Mm-hmm.
the pink ones. But I love hairless cats. So if I ever get lucky enough to find um, a hairless cat that I could rescue or
Yeah.
adopt, that's what I would go for.
I like that. I'm a
Yeah.
all animals person. I grew up with
Yes.
dogs.
Yep.
Grew up with dogs. Always wanted a cat, but
Hmm.
my dad was not a cat person.
Fair.
It wasn't until I was older.
Uh-huh.
Um, and my partner, we have been together, oh gosh, wow. I think in August we'll be together 25 years.
Congratulations.
Wow.
What? Yeah.
Wow, I think this just hit me right now. That it's been 25 years. Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a long time. He was a cat person and he
Mm.
had cats.
Uh-huh.
And then he happened to find our first cat that we ever had together on the side of the interstate and rescued it. Tiny baby kitten. And I have been a cat and dog person ever since. We have all the animals in our house. I even have a bearded
I
dragon.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
he's
I'm
amazing.
terrified, but that's cool.
He's amazing. I was also terrified. His name is Crocky, and
Cute.
sometimes I call him Crunky and Crocodilly. He's got all the nicknames. He's amazing.
Love that.
Um, but yeah, I always like to ask people because I feel like you can learn a lot about someone. Are you a dog person or a cat
Oh
person?
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah. So, what's the care like for a bearded
For a
dragon?
bearded dragon, oh,
Yeah.
first of all, there's a lot of anxiety. I'm going to warn you because they're reptiles and
Yeah.
you just don't read them in the same way that you can read a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
Like, they're sick,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
it's weird. And
Yep.
dragons go through their own form of hibernation. They call it brumation.
Okay.
So they sleep for months at a time, some of them, and they're all
Mhm.
different. Some of them do it, some of them don't.
Okay.
Ours did. They don't usually do it until about a year or so older. This was
Okay.
his first year. And the signs of brumation are the same as if they were sickly. So
Uh,
you're like constantly worried, like, is he sick or is he brumating?
mhm.
Like, what is happening? He just woke up. Yeah, he just woke up. He's been
Ugh,
asleep since Thanksgiving.
I would be a wreck.
Right? And so was I. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, was he going to wake up? And so we would check on him, go in there and look on him, look at him every day. He would
Yeah.
peek his eyes open. He
Uh-huh.
wasn't just like dead asleep.
Just-
But he would open his, yeah, exactly. He would open his eyes, but he was
okay.
hidden. He wanted to stay. He didn't want to come out and
Yeah.
bask. He didn't want to do all
Yep.
that. But
Yep.
now that he's awake, he's got his own room. Like our spare bedroom is his room where his habitat is. And he has a ramp.
Yes.
So he can come and go as he pleases. He is safe in there. He has a
I
whole
love
window
that.
set up and basks with like lights in the window. He's probably in the window right now. He's got like a dig box in front of the window. Like he's got the best dragon life ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Um,
amazing.
but it's my daughter's fault that we have him because
Ah.
she's obsessed with reptiles. And we went years. No. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. So Finally got her one. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And now I love him. I
Yep.
love him. He
Yep.
is so cool.
Yep.
I
That's
recommend
awesome.
him. Yeah.
I'm the way I'm terrified
Yeah.
of any reptiles, amphibians, all of that. I'm too afraid. My dad got me a frog once,
Mm.
and I was still am, but like people pleaser to the max. And my I think one of my dad's friends was like selling frogs, and they're like, "Hey, you want a frog?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah." I blink, and now I have a frog in the house. I'm like, I don't.
I didn't really want this.
I didn't really want this. And my dad was like, touch it. I was like, I
Touch
don't
it.
want to touch it. And my dad was like, come on, touch it. I was like, no, it's too big. It's too slimy. I don't want to touch that. And then my dad was like, all right, well, touch it or you're grounded. I said, how long am I grounded for? Like, no hesitation. How long am I grounded for? 2 weeks. All right. You want the TV? Do you want the phone? What do you want? I'm not touching this thing. I'm not touching. Yeah, not happening.
Not for you, huh?
No. No, but it's like I've seen bearded dragons and those they look cool, but
Hmm.
I can appreciate something from a distance. I just
Yeah, fair
can't.
enough. Fair
Ooh,
enough. Yeah.
ooh.
And they cause a lot of anxiety. I'm just gonna say because you just don't know, especially the information
Yeah.
thing. Maybe it's because it's our first full year of having him,
Uh-huh.
and so
Uh-huh.
we've never had a reptile. Maybe next
Yeah.
year I won't have so much anxiety. I'll know what to expect.
But yeah.
But this year, man, I was worried all the time.
And
All
he's
the
just like
time. Yeah.
just sitting there just
And yeah, he's
I'm
just
okay.
chilling, and I'm like, is he breathing? Is he alive? What's happening? It's like having a newborn baby at home, and you're like, am I gonna kill it? Like, what's happening here? How am I taking care
Oh
of
my
this
God.
thing?
Yep.
Cat,
Yep.
dog, got all the experience, all the confidence.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
next year I won't have so much anxiety with the bearded dragon,
Yeah.
but
Especially now
it's a
that you
cool
know what to
experience.
expect.
Yes,
She'll be fine.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, I am going to ask this question
Uh-huh.
for Julia. Her
Okay.
favorite thing to know about people, she's nosy. No. I'm
Me
playing.
too, so it's okay.
We all nosy.
Me too.
What is your go-to favorite food or snack?
Man, okay. Justin will call me a biter immediately because it is sushi. And I feel like that may have been Justin's answer.
It was.
Um, I could eat,
And Ethan's answer.
we all love sushi, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
But yeah, it's one of those foods that I could eat it every day and not get tired of it.
Yeah.
Um, it's and it's one of those foods where you don't feel sluggish after you eat it.
Yes. I
You
was just
don't
about to point that out.
you don't feel sluggish after you eat it. You can eat your fill, go on about your day, and you feel satiated, but you're not you're not, like
Yeah.
drugged down.
Right. Not tired, like I need a nap. I
Yeah.
got the itis. Let me go take a nap real
Yeah,
quick.
exactly. Exactly. Got the itis out here trying to fight
Mhm.
sleep and stuff.
Mhm.
And then like if the fish is fresh, like if you get really good like sushi, like sushi
Mhm.
grade fish, it's just it melts in your mouth. Like the
It
fish melts
does.
in your mouth. Oh my goodness. It's I was in Japan last year in April, like end of April, beginning of May. Me and Ethan went and we went to this omakase place and everything I ate there, like my brain just kept exploding. I was like, "Oh my God, like this is how this tastes? Like this is great." The texture was fantastic. You could taste how fresh it was. Like,
Mm.
oh, I could eat sushi all day, every day. Bonus answer, dessert.
Oh.
If I could eat something, it would be mochi.
My, oh my
Mochi.
gosh. I'm so glad you said mochi because like I got this mochi the other day that is so
Uh-huh.
good. It is this blueberry one. Oh
Ooh.
man. I've never had blueberry mochi before. I don't usually go for
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
it was a double filled blueberry mochi. I was at the
Yes.
mall with my daughter. She wanted to, forgot the name of the store off the top of my head, but it has all the Hello Kitty stuff, like
Yeah.
all the
Yep.
things.
Yep.
And so I bought that for me while she got, like $100 worth of all the other stuff. new phone
Rightfully
case.
so.
Like all the cute stuff, like some necklaces and hairpins and all the things. And she
Yes.
got
Yes.
this really beautiful glitter eyeliner. And
Oh,
she was like, "Look at this. This is so cool." I was like, "Dude, I love that. I want some." And she's like, "You don't wear eyeliner. Why do you need it?" And I'm like, "Well, what if I wanted to wear glitter eyeliner?
she's like, this
Okay."
is for me. This is
Yeah.
mine. She said, I gotta
Yes.
put me first. This is for me.
Exactly. Like starts talking about how it would be perfect for a cosplay. But anyway, I bought
Yeah,
myself
yep.
the blueberry mochi and they were epic, so good. So I'm
Yes.
with you.
Oh, I love mochi.
Fresh. Mm.
Yes. My only thing now is places that sell mochi usually sell it filled.
Yes.
It's got like red bean or some kind of
Hmm.
like fruit something in it. I love I love mochi that is it's a small bite-sized pieces that are shaped almost like marshmallows.
Ah,
You get them in a little bag and they're hard to, I mean,
yeah.
over in Japan they're a dime a dozen. You can grab them
Right.
anywhere. I was in heaven. But here they're hard to find because everyone wants to
The
have the filled
filled.
kind.
Hmm.
But I could eat the mochi that's shaped like marshmallows all day, every day. And if
Mm.
it's like Sakura flavored, because
Keep them away from you or they're gone.
they're gone. I will inhale those. I will
Oh,
inhale them.
wow.
It's just like tea, like because like it's got that floral flavor of like
Hmm.
the cherry blossoms and anything floral. I'm just like I'll eat it. Just inject it into my brain, like right
Injected
now,
into my brain.
just right here.
Let me have it. Give it to me.
Please,
So,
love mochi.
so now here you go, Julia. So if you ever get to meet Asia, sushi and mochi.
Yep,
And I think we have half the choreography team covered already because their answers were sushi. So our little potluck is going to be great.
yep.
It will be perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
So I have the most random question. It's not really random, but I
okay.
just find it fascinating to see what else you would possibly do. It's like a
Uh,
Freaky Friday style question. You
oh
could
man.
swap places with anyone in the supernatural company and do their job for a day. You don't have to have the skills.
Okay.
In this pretend world, you have the skills. You can do it. What job would you trade? What would you go do?
I would be I would be one of the engineers, developers. I would be whoever is in charge or takes over joy balls and like environments.
Oh,
I would want to be them for a day, maybe a week,
yeah, maybe a
but
week.
maybe a week. Give me time to work, please. But I would. Oh man, like I'm realizing now like how passionate I am about like environmental effects and like joy balls. But yeah, I would want to be on their squad for a day
That's really cool. Do you
just to
think
learn. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
one, would you think one of them would want to be a mapper?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think so. I think so. Because they like anytime that we have the chance to, people are like, oh, let's get the choreographers on and see just like how their day is, like what they do in a day, like what their process is like, and we have it's so funny because like the people that work on the editor,
Hmm.
you know, obviously they're wizards in their own right and they're amazing, but they literally create the things for us and then we go in and we choreograph and stuff. If we were to hand them the editor and tell them to make a map, they wouldn't know what to do. But it's yeah, we're almost like is the word enigmatic? Like an enigma almost? Like
Yes.
we are this weird like yeah.
Little enigma area. They're like,
Yeah.
who are those
How do you do
people?
what you do? Like
Yeah.
what do you yeah. Yeah. So
You're
I
unicorns.
yeah.
I mean, it's the perfect description for you guys. I mean, if you think about it, the background each of you has, like when
Mhm.
Supernatural started, and they were like, well, we want to put these targets here and get people to move and dance. And who are we looking for to make that?
Yep. Yep.
You guys really are the unicorns. Dancers, musicians, having
Yeah.
some engineering or graphic design background,
Mhm.
being a gamer.
Yep.
It's pretty
Yep.
cool. Mm. So environments.
Yeah.
What would your joy
Oh,
ball, what would be the first joy ball you'd create?
it would. Ooh, it would be pink, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. So it would have to either be like pink hearts or no, no. It would be cherry blossoms. Pink flowers. Like you hit it. My little
Mm,
like cherry blossom emoji that I always use for everything, that's what it would be.
I love
You
that.
hit that and it just explodes and it's just cherry blossom petals everywhere. That's it actually. That's
It
it.
could, it would be just like the leaf ball one where it swirls,
Yes.
but instead of swirling in front of you like this,
It
maybe
swirls like
around
around
you.
you. Yes. 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 That's it.
Oh,
1000% that's it. I have to make
that.
this happen now.
I
All
love
right.
that. I
Going
love that.
back to that being an engineer for a day thing. How do I make this happen now?
Right? Exactly. We need to like do some magic, get this to happen, manifest
Yeah.
it. Hmm.
Yeah, that has to happen. Oh my God. And then that being like the signature joy ball for Asia, like obviously, everyone could use it. But like if you're ever
Right.
curious, like who mapped this? And then at the end it's just like, ah, this
Exactly.
is
I always
Asia.
thought it would be cool for you guys to have signature joy balls so we
That
would
would be
know
sick. That'd be
who
tight.
mapped it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, I don't want you guys to be pigeonholed into one joy ball.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I could see the cherry blossoms for you.
Oh,
Well, this ties into my very final, most important question ever.
okay.
My friends and I,
Mhm.
we did this thing where we use animals as
Okay.
emoji hugs. So, like, say someone sends you a message in Messenger
Mhm.
and they had a really bad day and you want to give them a hug and you don't want to, like, just heart it because you're like, well, I don't love what you just said, but I want to
Yeah.
acknowledge and give you a hug. So, we decided to use animals. I use a flamingo.
Oh, yes. Yes. Love
Um,
it.
I love all things about balance, like leg
Yep.
lifts, like
Uh-huh.
balancing. I'm always one foot up on my other leg when I'm standing, and then
Yep.
balance of life. So flamingo
Yep.
worked for me.
Yep. Okay.
Um, Ethan picked a giraffe.
He's like 8 feet tall. It makes sense.
Right, right. So I want to know, what would you pick as your
Okay.
emoji hug?
Now, quick question,
Mm-hmm.
clarifying question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an animal emoji that already exists, or is
Mm.
it something I can find in my phone, or is it just like pie in the sky?
Oh,
I don't
wow.
think I've ever seen a giraffe emoji. I'm not.
There
I don't know if it
is.
exists. It
It does
exists.
exist.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does a
So
hummingbird emoji exist?
let's check. I think in one of the last updates it did.
Because
Or
if a hummingbird emoji is there,
no.
pain.
That is, yeah.
That is painful. Let me see then, because that would be my answer. It would definitely be a hummingbird.
We need a hummingbird
We need
emoji
a hummingbird.
because I tried hummingbird, nothing came up. I tried bird. So now I'm looking at all the birds and there's like doves, there's feathers, there's a dodo bird. Why do we
Peacock,
have a
yeah.
dodo bird? Like, but we don't have a hummingbird?
There's a
Um,
phoenix that
there
would
is
be
a
cool.
phoenix. That
The
is
phoenix
cool.
looks cool. The dragon looks
The
cool.
dragon is a favorite.
Um, I mean, there's a unicorn. So I feel like if I had to choose
Mm-hmm.
from this list,
Mm-hmm.
it would be the unicorn.
The unicorn.
It would be the
Now,
unicorn.
what would your made up one be? Pie in the sky, create any emoji you wanted. What animal would it be?
It would be a hummingbird. And for the reasons you listed about the flamingo being, about balance, the hummingbird to me symbolizes freedom, just
Mm-hmm.
being a free spirit. I always like to think of hummingbirds as like nature's version of like a pixie or a fairy.
Yeah.
Um, the way they fly, right? They hover, and like it's not just like linear flight. They literally have like access to like all
All the planes of
all the
motion.
planes.
Yep.
Yes. And it's just they're so free, they're so small, and they just look like little pixies.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I would choose if I could choose any animal. It's also my
That
favorite animal, so
that is really, I like both of your answers and I'm hoping just saying it loud and manifest a legit hummingbird emoji for you at some
yes, it's gotta
update
please,
in the
please
emoji world. Please give it to us.
give me a hummingbird. Gotta happen. All
So
right.
now, if we get an emoji from you,
Uh-huh.
we know that you're giving us a hug.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I've never said this on the podcast, but some people in the group know this already because they've spotted it on my journey. But if you ever see me use an emoji for one of the choreographers in my journey, so if I use a turtle, that's a turtle workout. That is a Justin workout. If I use a giraffe, that is an Ethan workout. If I use, what
Unicorn?
did we pick? The unicorn. Yes. If I use a
Unicorn.
unicorn, people will know that it is one of your workouts and so forth and so
Yes.
forth. So
Yes.
if you guys follow me or want to look on the journey, you can see I always edit and add the emoji. And so this is one of the main reasons why I ask you guys this question.
I love that.
It's my little
Oh,
code.
yeah, that's grand. Okay. I love
There you
that.
go. Now you know the reason, and now everyone hears that. So now they know. Mhm.
Yes.
All
You
right.
had to pull one.
Weekly workout suggestion. Get two, a boxing and a flow.
All right. Flow. Princess Power. I
Disney hits Princess Power. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And only partially selfish. Like all the maps are wonderful in their own right, but part of your world was a map that I fought for, and I again, I think I said this earlier, but I rarely fight for music. Um, but obviously coming out of, like seeing um Halle Bailey as the Little Mermaid and
Yeah.
her looking like me.
Mm-hmm.
And like my favorite like fantasy or mythological creature is the mermaid. And so like it was a lot of things that went into that, but being able to see myself represented on screen as a fantasy character that or fantasy creature that I've always loved since I was like 3 years old,
Right.
it it meant a lot to me. And I was like, I have to have this song, please. Surprisingly, it wasn't that hard of a fight, but Dennis was like, I understand, I got you, it's yours. And so, yeah, I mapped that. And if you hunt around the internet far enough, you'll find me um, playing that map in a ginormous, obnoxious ball gown.
It's beautiful. It's a
Thank
beautiful
you,
dress.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it meant that much to me. It meant that
Yeah.
much to me. So if you guys are interested, go back and play that for not only my map, but for everyone else that was involved.
Yeah. Lots of you guys worked on that
Yep.
workout. It's
Yep.
from 2023. It's with Coach Dwana. I'll add it to the
Mm-hmm.
screen and obviously put it in the group when this episode airs as well.
Yep.
It was fun. It was great. There are lots of little Easter eggs mapped into this workout. I would be very interested in the comments of the weekly workout suggestion to see what Easter eggs you guys picked up on
Yeah. Yeah.
that whereas Asia mapped into
Mhm.
this particular song, part of your world. There are a few.
There are. There
And
are.
if you guys guess them, I will send you a For the Love of the Map sticker because I'm all about the Easter eggs, man. Like legit Easter
Yes.
eggs.
Like
And,
actual Easter eggs.
yeah,
Not to be
yeah,
confused
yeah.
with the.
No, no. Come on, engineers. Why do you name them Easter eggs? Sorry.
All good. All good.
uh, what about your boxing suggestion?
Okay. 100% selfish plug, but you gotta go play Cyberpunch 2025. Go play it for me. And I welcome criticism with open arms. So tell me what you loved. Tell me, what didn't work so well, or what like was unclear, and just tell me what your overall experience was in that workout. Like I'd be
Mm,
curious to know. Obviously, as we've stated before, it's the first workout that has all CGI environments. Um, Dwana was, coaching in a way that brought in like gamer like elements.
yeah.
So I would be curious to see like, how you guys felt, the journey it took you on, and how you came out of it. So yeah.
I like both of these suggestions. One, because both of them are very meaningful to you.
Yeah.
You have such a strong connection to both of them, and I think the community will very much enjoy playing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm Oh,
don't
go ahead, man.
no, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna uh ask you a question, but go
Oh,
ahead and finish it.
sure.
Yeah.
No, no,
Oh
no.
well.
Ask me.
Okay.
Well, what are you asking me?
I, you're like, hold on. Who's asking? What is
Hold
it?
on a second.
What is it?
Am I
I
prepared for
was
this question? No.
well. I was gonna. I have a couple of questions to ask you, but
Sure.
one that's top of mind right now is: do you have a song or workout that just moved you like completely to where you were like, this is why I indulge in supernatural, or like this is
I
yeah,
have a
yeah.
few. I have a few.
Okay. Okay.
And it's changed as my journey through fitness.
Uh-huh.
When I first started Supernatural, I could only do low intensity. I could
Okay.
not play any other intensity level.
Mhm.
Um, I had never worked out before. I had never exercised before. Never. And I was at a point in my life where I had to change or I was going to die. Like it was that dire.
Yes.
Um, so I committed to working out every single day for 45 minutes. So I got in the headset, picked workouts for 45 minutes. I only lows. So it was months on lows before I could
Okay.
move up. And I would look at all the other playlists and I would dream of getting there.
Yeah.
And that motivated me to work hard. So
That's amazing. Okay.
this is why I feel like not all songs should be every intensity level because there was a huge part of my own journey where a lot of my motivation came from being able to reach the next level so I could play that workout with that playlist.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So a lot of that had to do one of my biggest it was an artist series, a medium flow Swedish house mafia, and it's the very first song, Heaven.
Mhm.
And I play that song, I get in the headset when I am super emotional and can't self regulate.
Yep.
Getting in there and playing that song will help me self regulate. Um, and sometimes I'll play it 3 or 4 times until like whatever feeling I'm feeling that
Mhm.
overwhelmed by passes and I've worked through it and I think
I love
about it.
that.
Um, there's lots of them. It just depends on what it is,
Mhm.
what I'm trying to accomplish, I guess.
Yeah.
But that song sticks out to me the most
Uh-huh.
because it's just been so impactful for me.
Yeah.
Because it's about recognizing the magic of going through pain and suffering.
Yep. Yep.
And I guess it gives me strength to go in there and play it.
I love
I
that.
was trying to think of some other ones for you, but definitely that one. That's the first one that comes to mind.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah.
That's neat. So how did you I don't think we've covered this yet, but like how did you find the
Oh,
supernatural? Like
I went to the doctor. They
uh
said, Marla, you got to do something. You know,
okay.
like you got to do something. I came home from the doctor. I took my daughter's headset that I had given
Yep.
her for Christmas.
Uh,
I put it on. I went into Beat Saber because that's all I knew. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Beat
Okay.
Saber's always the gateway for most people.
Yep.
Um, got out of there, was promptly put in my face a Supernatural ad. And back then, they had the 30-day trial.
Uh-huh.
So I just got in. I went through the whole process. Didn't even go through the whole 30-day trial. Signed up 2 days into my 30-day trial,
Mhm.
and I've been with it ever since. That was August
Wow.
of 2021. I wish I had found it
Wow.
sooner. But the universe brings you where you need to be when
Yep.
you need to be there.
Yep.
So that's how I found Supernatural. And it's literally changed all aspects of my life, my health, my mental health, the relationships I have with my family.
Yep.
Um, Met so many friends, so many community members, started a podcast about Supernatural. It has impacted me in all of the positive ways.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah,
That is
I'm a
fantastic.
lifer, a total
Heck yeah.
lifer.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you for asking me questions. It's been a while since I've had anyone, you know,
Oh, well,
ask that part. That's cool.
Girl, we are just as curious about you. For real. Like that's amazing. I guess and hopefully I'm not like running you like past
No,
time
you're
just
good.
asking you
You're
questions,
good.
but so at what point did you realize like I want to make a podcast? Like I want to cover like all things mapping and analyzing choreo and talking about themes and all of that. Like at what point did you realize like this is what I want to do?
Um, it was actually a really long time ago.
Okay.
So the podcast has been out for a year now. I
Okay.
would say thank you.
You're good.
um, I'm trying to think of timelines here. Probably the end of 2022 is when I met my friend Julia.
Yes.
And before that, I met lots of people in the community and I would work out with lots of people.
Mhm.
I reached out to Julia because I saw her in the community posting videos and she just seemed really interesting and was writing comments back to people. And I was like, hey, do you want to work out with me? You know,
Okay.
you want to get in a party and work out. I want to play this high super monster. It was housework. Um, and I was so scared to play it alone. And she didn't know me. You know, she saw me in the
Yeah.
community, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And she said, sure. And so we got our first time we ever talked, we got into a high super monster, which is crazy. Like, why would you ask someone you don't know? You don't even know if this is going to go well, right? Like, you guys might not hit it off, but you're stuck in this monster for 40 something minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, that opened up a door. We talked about our lives, but she talked about choreography and I talked about choreography. Like, this feels so good. And it just started evolved.
Uh-huh.
And when her and I were in parties with other people, we would sort of break up the party chat by talking about choreography, and people would be like, what did you? And we sort of felt like we couldn't do that. So we
I
decided to
see.
create like a party group that was focused on talking about choreography.
Ah,
And that's how it originally started, where we could create the set lists for workouts and we would compare the choreography and the workouts. And then we sort of would host those and invite people to them and talk about them. And I told I told her one day we need to do a podcast. Like
hmm
we have so much to say about choreography. It was always choreography. The whole supernatural experience, yes, but always the choreography.
hmm
We were just fascinated by it and fascinated by all of you guys. And I told her, I said, we need to make a podcast. We need to do it. And she's like, yeah, yeah. And we said that for a year, for a whole year to each other. And then it was like December of 2023. And I said, get on Amazon and buy these things. Buy a microphone. She's like, what? I said, we're going to put our first podcast out the first week of February. And we just went from there. And
Yes.
she was with me from the start.
hmm
She stepped back. She's still in the podcast group. I call her the producer. She helps me with
Heck
notes. She
yeah.
helps me
Heck
with all the
yeah.
things. She's just not here on the screen. She's a
Yeah.
huge part of this podcast
That's
and
awesome.
my supernatural experience in my life. Um, and that's the backstory.
That's
For
awesome.
years, we
Oh
talked
my
about it.
gosh.
Like, no one's going to watch. And, why are we doing this? It's not for people
Yeah.
to watch. It's so we can hear about the choreography from the
Yeah.
choreographers because we
Yeah.
didn't get that from Supernatural, and bring focus to the choreography.
That honestly, that's actually passion in itself. That's actually passion because like not once did you like mention, oh, like we're doing it for this audience, right? It's all for
Mm-mm.
like you guys and
Yeah,
like how curious you are about the choreography itself. And so like you want to get to the source, but that's
I
that's the
do.
real reason for it.
Yes.
It's not like, oh, we're putting on this podcast for like viewers. Like you're yeah, like
No,
the main goal wasn't like viewership so
no,
much as it was actually having these real discussions
exactly.
about choreography. That's amazing.
And that's why for me, the organic growth of the show is so important
Uh,
because
yeah,
I want people who are interested in learning about it. I wanted people who
exactly.
are passionate about talking about it. And I know initially it's like, oh, well, that's a lot of information. It takes
Yeah,
time. I get that.
yeah.
Um, But yeah, we could talk about it for hours. I
Mhm.
do talk about it for
Yeah.
hours. Um, so if it wasn't for Julia, I don't know that I would have come and started it all on my own. Maybe I would
Yeah.
have. I'd like to think I would eventually
Yeah.
have stepped outside, but I never wanted this to be a video podcast. I only wanted it to be audio. She pushed me out of my comfort zone, and now I
Yeah.
can't ever see it any different because we add so much visual stuff once we edit all the gameplay, all the side by sides, all the
Yeah.
workout cards. It's just
Yeah.
um, my hope in the end is to motivate people back into the headset, or to stay in the headset, to find workouts that are interesting they never thought they would do because of the music or
Mhm.
intensity level. So that's always my hope.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm super excited for you to come back on the show again. We're going to rotate through all the choreographers. Um, definitely.
Yes. I
Now that
can't
we've
wait.
had the whole intro of who you are, now we can come
Yeah.
back and do little focused episodes, is my
Yeah,
thought.
I can't wait for that. I
Hmm.
can't wait for that. Sign me up already. Like,
I'd love to just break down some of the things you've done over the years and
yeah,
talk
of
about
course.
them.
I'm so down. I'll make sure I have more than 2 cups of tea next time.
Yes, you'll need to more than two.
I'll need more than two. They are empty. They are empty. I think I've reached for this cup like 3 times out of habit over the course of
Hmm.
our chat, only to see that there's nothing in here.
Right. You needed
I'm
more
just like,
tea
oh
for
yeah, let
sure.
me just. Oh wait. Oh yeah, let me.
It's
Oh,
gone.
more tea.
um,
I'll just bring the whole pitcher over here next time and just start
there you
chugging
go.
it.
Fill it. Get a whole pot. I think that's smart. What's your
Yeah.
favorite tea? What tea are you drinking right now?
So this one is lavender.
Mm,
So it's more of an herbal tea. There's not really
yeah.
caffeine in this one.
Floral again.
Yes, always.
Mm,
Lavender and rose are like my favorite floral
okay.
teas. And then this one was a matcha from this morning.
Mm,
Um, Usually in the mornings, because like my morning ritual, I always go walk for tea.
mm,
Um, just because like I like getting the fresh air, sunlight. But I like talking to people in the morning, just let people or not I like talking to people in the morning so that, we can tell each other, like have a good day or ask them how
yeah.
their previous day was, things like that. I just like that small like social aspect.
Hmm.
And I go to like the local tea shops that are in my neighborhood. So, you're building that like familiarity with people.
Yeah.
Um, so that is I don't start my morning without grabbing tea. I want to be able to talk to people a little bit and do all that. So that's why I grab it. And then I make more tea here at the house because I literally have a cabinet full of tea. But yeah, so this matcha is usually what I get in the mornings just because it's my morning ritual.
Got it.
Yeah.
The
What's your favorite tea?
My favorite tea is Earl Grey.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm an
There's a
Earl
little bit of
Grey girl.
lavender in there. There's a little
Hmm.
lavender in there.
Hmm. Bergamot. I'm an Earl
Yeah.
Grey tea drinker with a splash of milk. I do it the British way.
Ooh, ooh.
Hmm.
You know what?
It's so good. An afternoon pick me up, Earl Grey tea as an afternoon
Yeah.
is just You could do it iced if you wanted to go that way, but I like it hot.
I
I'm a purist.
I might try that.
You should. It's
I might
delicious.
try that with a splash of milk.
Just a
I
splash.
might try that.
Mm-hmm. Just a splash of milk, not too
Yeah.
much, but just a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like creamer in coffee,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but just not as heavy. I'm going to try that and get back
Yes.
to you.
Let me know. Let me
Listen,
know.
our episode 2,
We're
episode 2, I'm
gonna
gonna
be
come
bring
back with
all the
that.
tea.
Yes. 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 Listen,
Well,
we're mixing milk in there together and stuff. Like
it's
it's
gonna
just
be a
yeah.
tea party.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about all the workouts, all the tea. That's what we
All
should
the
call that
tea.
episode. Hmm.
All the tea.
Look, we already have an episode name.
See? We're already there. Tea
Well,
time.
yep. I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us today,
Of
with me,
course.
and
Of
allowing the
course.
community to meet you and get to know you a little bit.
It was a
Tons of
pleasure.
workouts. Yes.
It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. And don't forget, after you play Asia's workout suggestions of the week, to look to the left as soon as you're done before you exit out and rate it.
Yes.
So important. Please rate it.
Yes. Yep.
They want to hear from us, guys. They
Yeah.
really do.
Yes. And rate it honestly. Rate it
Yes.
honestly because that feedback will help me craft the next one. So, Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And
Thank you.
we will see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Catch you on the next one, y'all.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of For the Love of the Map. As always, you can join the discussion in the private Facebook group and follow along with show updates on Instagram and TikTok. Links can be found in the description below. If you find value in the show, please share it with your friends. Your comments, likes, and reviews are invaluable, and I cannot thank you guys enough. See you next time.